It's Monday, May 9th. And I'm going to call the Selectmen's meeting to order. The first order of business is to salute the flag. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public input?
I have none.
Okay. The next order of business is the Selectmen's minutes. First set of minutes is May 2nd, regular meeting minutes. I'll make a motion that we accept them as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next is the non-public meeting.
Move we accept them as written.
I'll second for discussion.
And
Just let me read it.
and it should remain sealed.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm not seeing none they're marked sealed, so I'm gonna make a motion to seal the minutes. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, there, okay. So
Yeah.
it's already.
Yep.
Motion, okay.
After you went back into public, that's why. Sit down.
Next is Jack Parsons from Building Codes.
How are you?
All
Good
of
morning.
those things.
Morning. So you have 40 building permits, 12 new homes, I've done 160 inspections. Last week I went to the seminar for the hard road to travel. Because the book we have is
Right.
2005, they redid it.
Yeah.
It's only PDF now. So everything's a hyperlink, so you can click on it, you can go there. So it's 199 pages. Do you want me to print one? Just to
Okay.
have it, I'm just asking. I mean, do you want to have like Minuteman do it or something like that and then have them bind
Well,
it?
we should
or-
have a hard copy of it here, so.
Can we double side? Can we do,
You can double side.
Two-sided,
I
then
think it'd be
like
better
really-
having it bound. You know, not
Oh, okay.
bound, but spiral. I
Yeah.
don't know who can do that, but
I can check with Minuteman.
yeah, see if they
You
can
want-
do it, and I can just send them a copy of the PDF and they
Sure.
can do it.
Yeah, that's a
There's
good.
a few interesting things on it. One of them was that you're actually supposed to, you know the release you get for a class 6 road?
Right.
You're supposed to do that on any road that doesn't abut a class 5. Any house that doesn't abut a class 5, so any private road, you're supposed to have one of those releases as well.
So,
So it was a release because the town's not liable for emergency services to get there because it's a private road. Same
so
as a
every
class 6.
driveway?
For every building that was built on a private road, is supposed to sign a release. We don't do it on private, we only do it on class 6. The lawyers in a lot of towns don't do it, but it actually should be done, but I don't.
So without the release, what happens?
Excuse me?
Without the release, what happens?
The town's not liable anyway, it's a private road, but that's just,
Because I can't imagine us going on to some of these roads that have been here for,
oh, no, you can't do it if something existing, for anything new, it's what you're supposed to do it.
so it's new construction?
Yeah, but it's been there actually in the last book too.
Really?
He just brought it up because some people had issues because I guess an emergency vehicle tried to get to a house on a private road and it just couldn't get there and then people were complaining. And so, yeah. And then there's a new section, well, it's chapter 12, a lot about funding for roads. So they redid that section, so that's something you might want to look at. Funding for roads.
Local funding?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a new section. It was in there, but they redid it. And the rest was just your basic stuff, you know. There's quite a few road agents there.
They're online?
They're online in there, yeah.
Was our road agent there?
Unless he was online, but he wasn't in person. I went in person because it's easy to ask questions.
Cool.
Okay,
Yep.
that's it.
Thank you.
And are you still on joint law and safety or no?
I am.
Okay.
We're doing inspections a couple weeks.
18th, I hear. So,
Yeah. The 18th and then the following week. Yeah.
Okay. I'm supposed to go to those.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Start at the transfer station
Right.
on the 18th at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. Is, speaking of our road agent, is he coming?
He is supposed to be here at 9:15.
All right, well, let's do some signing.
Okay.
Get that out of the way.
Sure.
The first item for signature is an intent to cut on map 45, lot 139, 1-39. I'll make a motion that we sign this.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And the next is a tax levy for timber cut on lot 56-311. I'll make a motion that we sign.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Today's the 9th.
Is it tonight?
Yeah.
Today's the 9th.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Like, oh no, did I write the wrong date?
No, I did. Okay, it says 2 signatures, Bob. All right, good, thanks. And our action items. Here you go. Thanks.
Thank you.
The first is a list of possible or probable tax liens on property not, where the property taxes haven't been paid. I don't see anyone on here that needs special exception from that, and you did not as well.
I didn't. Has anybody formally requested special exception?
No. No.
Jackie would like you guys,
And then-
if you could, to come in Friday to sign the warrant,
Okay,
if that's okay.
I usually come in late Thursday afternoon. Is that okay?
I don't think she'll have it ready.
I-
She doesn't work on Thursdays.
Yeah, I can come in after work on Friday.
yeah, that's
It won't
fine.
be until,
So I'll make a motion that we sign the warrant for the tax liens.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As long as after 3 o'clock on Friday is okay.
I'm gonna try to be really nice today and not say that we're not gonna let the tax collector determine our personal schedules. I'm not gonna say that. Okay, the next item on the action folder is a notice from HEB, our civil engineers, Bergeron out of Conway. They wanted to alert us on 2 significant funding opportunities regarding our infrastructure. Potential New Hampshire DOT State Bridge Aid, SBA funding. New Hampshire legislature is currently considering a SB 401, Senate Bill 401 with amended whatever, which would provide 36 million in new funding for SBA, which is Special Bridge Aid funding, not Small Business Administration. 30 million for municipal highway infrastructure. A few years ago, DOT put a halt on enrolling additional bridges. That's when we got bumped from 2027 to 2032 on our Tuftonboro Neck Bridge due to lack of funding. So this is in the works. A new FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funding. As announced, June 1st, 2022 deadline for letters of intent for a new round of hazardous mitigation grant program funding in New Hampshire totaling $11 million. I guess my suggestion would be that we get in touch with HEB and ask them to enlighten us how the HMGP funding might impact our bridge building. 'Cause that's not clear.
Would they act as our agents? seeking
No,
out
but they
these
can
funds?
explain it to us, and then we have to go through the grant funding
Ourselves.
process ourselves. But we have a couple of people here, specifically the lady that's the minute taker for the planning board is really good at that. And the annual Island Day meeting is July 9th, Saturday, July 9th. So if you're interested in a boat ride,
They would like someone to attend.
well, I'll definitely go, because it's the only time I get to take a boat ride.
I've already been on a boat ride this year, but I'll take another one.
You don't have to, if you don't want to.
I'm interested.
Okay.
I'm interested in the process.
It's probably a good idea that at least, your first year you go out. So you'll have to notice that as a
Yes.
meeting. Great.
At what time? Is there a time?
I didn't notice the time.
Adam usually sets the time for it, so we'll get with him before,
Yeah.
because we go out on the fireboat. God, we're blowing right through this stuff this morning. Mr. Highway, come on down.
Morning.
Good morning.
I haven't had a look at your current budget.
Thank you.
But you spent out your winter budget by the looks of it.
Yeah. That's for you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, some of the projects that we've been working on this spring are the catch basin cleaning has been completed. We also do a little bit of a review of what they look like, the condition report, and we do have some that we have to work on. But none of them are falling in at this point, so we're okay there. The road sweeping has been completed. The dock repair on Melbourne Wharf, that the damage was caused from ice, was completed. And a few of the roads in town, roadside ditching was needed to keep the water flowing, to help, dry up the road edges. Some of the dirt roads were just, if you pulled up to the edge, you were going over. There was no stopping it, but we got them dried up now. On Lang Pond, on Lang Pond Road, 2 culverts were replaced and ditching was required to help dry up that road. That road was actually the last of the dirt roads to dry out this year. That one just soft, and I think it just gets more shade than most of them as well, but it required a lot of ditching. And
How far do you go? Right up to the town line?
basically from 109A all the way to the Wolfboro line, which is where it's paved, basically is where we kind of stop with our ditching and stuff like that. Right before the lake, right
Yep.
before Merrill Lake, basically. Yep. The dirt roads have been blown off to remove the debris for road grading, which has been started, and several roads have been completed already. I've called in and started the permitting process for the Japanese knotweed spraying.
So it's not weed, not no weed.
Well, hopefully it'll be no
yes.
weed.
Yeah. Filling potholes on both dirt roads and paved roads has been a continuous project. I plan to cut and remove several sections of pavement around town and have a paving company come in and replace those areas because they're just too big for putting patching.
Including that one on Ledge Hill Road as you,
Yes, that really got bad this year.
I divert that
You know
when I
that one
drive up
too.
here every
And
day.
the one at the entrance to the, or the exit to the transfer station.
Yeah, I mean, we have several areas.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of them around town, including Tuckabrone Neck has some bad spots as well. That road is in bad shape, unfortunately. It really took a beating.
A resident had asked me about raking, specifically Phineas Glades Road. Do you York rake that?
We grade it and then York rake it, yes.
Or whatever you do to
Yep.
maintain
So-
it? Hasn't been done yet this year?
No, that hasn't. We're working on the ditching. Last week we've been trying to get some of the ditching done. We had to redo the rain gardens that we fill in over time. We excavated those out and put in new stone, get those working. But the key is to do the ditching first and then do the grading, because the grader pulls right from the edge and pulls everything onto the road. So if we can get that cleaned up.
So it's on your radar.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
it'll be done within the next week or two for sure.
Thank you.
Last week, I met with the paving company, reviewed the roads and pricing for this year, which is going to cause for discussion. Behind what you have, behind page number 1, is the prices for, I put the pricing from last fall when we did the budgeting first, so that we can review that. And then the budget for this year that they have presented in front of us here is a big change. It looks like about a 20% increase.
Not surprising.
No, it's not. I'm glad that you said that, because if you thought it was a big surprise. So with fuel, $6.22 a gallon for diesel now.
Everything.
The one thing that I didn't have my paperwork with me the day that I drove around, and when we looked at Canaan, the one thing that we both talked about was trying to get the best bang for the dollar. And what do we do? We both think that if we did a shim coat first and then an overlay, we'd have a lot better chance of having it last longer. Originally, last fall, we talked about the shim coat on the backside.
Right. You still got some money in that was carried over on.
18, I think it was 18,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we do the shim coat on the whole thing and then the overlay, we're talking almost $180,000, which we did not budget for. If we look at last year's pricing.
So is this last year's pricing that I'm looking at here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, keep moving.
The one on the top is the one you just got last month. And then these two are last year's.
Yeah, we might be in different order, I'm not sure, but the one with the red is the newest.
Colored.
Okay, so
Newest
you get
one.
179,000 for a shim and overlay for, yeah, but you're talking 7,300 feet of road. We weren't talking 7,300 feet of road back in.
Oh, okay, so maybe that's where we've gotten
Yeah.
off track here. I think we got that just to do the backside of the hill.
Right.
Okay, so that's where we got off track, I think.
On Canaan?
I didn't have this paperwork with me, yes. I didn't have this paperwork
I
with
mean,
me.
I don't remember talking about doing all of Canaan.
Okay, it was just the backside
It's just
of the hill.
part that you were having trouble with.
Yep. Okay, well, the whole road is it's not great now, but regardless, it's not in the budget.
It's not in the budget. I mean, that's over a mile of road and it's
Yes.
a mile and a half of road.
Yep, okay, so at least I feel a little better about that.
Yeah.
We're just not so far off. But regardless, on the rest of the ones that we did get pricing for, it's the same as last year, it's up 20%.
It's up more than 20%. And let's look at Federal Corner Road. And you've got a total of I'm lost here. Okay, 2022 is the number I'm looking for, right?
Are these just two options for Federal Corner? You got Federal Corner and Federal Corner.
You got
Looks like one is just
2022,
surface paving.
2023.
No, on this page right here, you've got two. Oh,
So
23.
that's
sorry.
23, correct.
Sorry.
Yeah, because it will need a top coat after a year or so.
Okay, 6,011 feet, 21, 40, 14,100. So that's the 2022 price is 221,000,
Yes,
okay?
which is up from 186,
186.
which is
Okay.
a big change, which is, I think, just under 20%, but it's, I don't even think these numbers are really locked in, because it's still gonna be at the mercy of the oil pricing. Obviously, I think the sooner we get it done, the better chance we have of locking the price in.
For you.
I don't see Shirley Way on any of these.
So I don't have it on the new proposal, because I don't think we really discussed that we were gonna do that this spring.
Well, we've got 100 grand sitting somewhere there, or whatever it is.
Okay,
Remember we broke it up?
and I got pricing really small,
Excuse me.
but I don't think we actually said where that was going. It wasn't determined. I got pricing for, I got pricing for Pine Mill Road, 2 Peck, and Canaan. That's what I just remember talking about.
So this is a 34,000.
I can certainly get the pricing for that.
Well, we need to, let's do the big paving first, and we can talk about the local area paving. So, North Line Road,
Which is just a top coat.
74.5 versus 88.5.
Correct.
Okay. So that's 14K. And what's the next one? So those are the only major roads getting paved?
So that's what we discussed, and I think that's a big,
Okay.
that's the budget. That is the budget. And then some.
221 plus 88,540. So you got $309,000.
What do we budget, 400?
Well, 300 for the major roads and then 100 for neighborhood paving. Is that how it works?
That's what I was getting at, 3 and 1.
What was the warrant article for paving? Do I have a town report?
Yes.
I don't remember whether it was 400 and 100 or 300 and 100.
There we go. So, 400,000.
400 and 100?
400,000.
Incomplete with neighborhood.
And then, no, and then
No.
100. So we're well within the range on that. On the major roads, you're at 300 and, what I have, 300 and something.
Yeah. And we do have to, included in that is some prep work before the paving done is done. You know, we gotta cut and remove rocks out of the road so that they don't pop up again next year. And,
That's 309,000, so you got, you got $90,000 left. Right?
correct.
Okay.
But some of that is gonna go to you for prepping.
Well,
Prepping is
we'll
not
use it all
included.
up. There's no-
Yeah, there's no shortage of work.
I mean,
Because we try to get
let's
rid
go
of it
back,
next year as
let's
well.
go back to Canaan. You had, how much money did you have carried over?
18,000.
18,000, and what's the,
Well, we don't have,
you got,
well, if we go back
you
to,
don't have the number.
correct, I have last year's, which if we add 20% to that, I'm guessing that would probably be fairly accurate.
Where's
Uh,
Canaan? So 48,651. Times one. Oh, so 58,381.
More or less.
Yeah, that's exactly 20%. And that's a shim with an inch and a half surface on top and gravel shoulders. So were they saying, do all of that work? Or shim this year, pave next year, right?
No, it makes sense to do it all this time because the shim is just gonna get us so that it's flat. It's gonna fill in the low spots.
Right.
And then we put a 1.5 inch binder over the top of that so that it actually has some stabilization for the future.
Otherwise, it's just gonna break
So-
apart again next
Absolutely.
spring, right?
Well, I
The
think if
edges.
we've learned anything from watching the state roads out here, that putting a very thin paper coat down does not last long.
Tourist coat.
Yeah, right. It's more like painting, but. So, yes, we want to do that.
So you're gonna have roughly speaking, $32,000 left
To get roads prepped.
to get roads prepped. And what's your prep budget been for,
Uh,
I mean, do you have a
It's
per foot?
been 50, but I think we're in okay shape. Federal Corners Road is actually in pretty good shape as far as culvert replacement. We got a lot of that done in the past. So I think we'll
And
be
you got
okay.
you shouldn't have anything major to do on Northland.
Correct.
Because you did all that.
Yep, and that's good.
So, yeah, I think we're not bad.
The only thing that we try to do is prep as much as we can for next year as well,
Right.
especially culverts. If we can get culverts replaced ahead of time, that makes a big difference, so they have time to settle and do what they're gonna do a year ahead of time.
I did roadside cleanup, the length of Ledge Hill Road this year, and I noticed a lot of culverts were in rough shape, filled in, blocked,
Just on the inlets,
inlets and outlets.
yeah. Particularly in the beginning, by North Line, is that where you saw most of it?
Some of them, and then some past Dame Road.
That's a continuous battle, that doesn't go away, it's every year. We have, unfortunately, yeah, we do it every year. We have to go through and open them all up, and they just settle, you know, especially in the upper part where it just
Oh,
kind
sure.
of oozes down every year, that banking.
When all the sand washes through
Yep.
and stays.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, that's continuous, and that road does get treated quite a bit because of the hill.
Okay, so let's move on to the neighborhood roads. You got Pine Mill Road, Tupac Road, and what are we doing on Shirley Way?
I don't know, it's in bad shape. We
I
do
know, but I thought you were gonna go up there and do some work on it. You know, whether it's ditches or culverts or whatever. I mean,
Yep, that's something that we certainly need to do first, is to get that prepped and ready. If there's, I can get some pricing. I mean, if we have 100,000, I don't know how far that's gonna go, but certainly could get a price on it.
All these roads need attention, but Shirley Way was certainly the people from Shirley Way were certainly the loudest about their road. And,
Understood.
and you're clear that it needs attention. I think we should focus some attention on Shirley Way.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
yeah, I mean, I thought, and you need to get together some numbers on prepping and paving. I'm not certain we're gonna pave it this year, because I don't know that you're not gonna spend an awful lot of money getting it ready to pave.
We did some of the ditching last year.
Okay.
We've got some areas fixed up that were in the worst shape.
Okay,
But for some reason, you know, that area where it just slopes down, you can clean it out really good. You can dig down 3 feet, and next year it's gonna, I think the mud just keeps sliding down the bank, and, you know, a little at a time.
is there a riprap we could put in, or some other method we could?
We did do that.
Reduce
It
that?
just got covered over, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I don't have a problem devoting that 100 grand to Shirley Way.
Okay.
We're
Neither
gonna-
do I.
Excellent.
But I'd like to see something for my money.
Mhm.
I'll get the paving company over, and
Yeah,
let's focus on one area and
yeah.
get that paved
Even if
as
it's
much
just
as
a
we
big
can.
circle, I mean, it's,
That's fine. I wish it would cover that much. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that would be great.
Well, yeah,
That's a pretty
get-
big circle.
get the number.
Yeah. You know, the biggest thing is we gotta decide, are we putting a top coat on, or are we gonna?
Well, I don't know what conditions it in. I'm not a
Not
paver,
good.
so,
I think it's up to you to present a plan to us.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
then
present the
Chandler
numbers here, I
Way.
think is what we need to do.
I mean, you gotta have them take a look at Chandler Way as well. We gotta put these things on a schedule. It'd be nice to know how long it is, you know, what other
Yeah.
money need to be.
I may have that information, to be honest with you, because I think I got the pricing on that beforehand. I did present that to you, but the numbers, I don't think they show correctly anymore. Surely way. So the top loop is 3,700 feet by 21.
3,700?
Yep. If we, and this was by the old pricing, if we did just an 1.5 inch top coat on it, we were looking at 54,000. So again, I think if you just multiply that by 20%, you'd have a fairly accurate number.
So.
Because they actually do have the price per ton here at $75 per ton, and now it's what, 80, I think it was 89 or something like that.
76.50. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's actually 90, it's 94. So it has gone up, that looks a little more than 20%. And then
91.50.
then we have Shirley Way, the bottom loop.
Okay.
Not sure what the bottom loop is, I guess it's just a road before you get there. And then Chandler Way is separate as well.
Right.
So the bottom loop is 1,355 feet. And that doesn't have a number to it for some reason. It just says $100 a ton, which I'm not sure what that meant, but 310 ton at $100 a ton. That doesn't make sense. Something's wrong there. Because we had $75 a ton and then one above it. So I don't know why that would be so much more. And then Chandler Way is 1,085 feet.
$17.50 a foot. Okay, times 13.55.
And that's counted from 109 up till where it turns onto Shirley Way, right?
Correct. And he actually has Woodland Drive separated as well at 425 feet by 22 feet.
So $23,726 for the second loop. And how long is
The Chandler Way was 1,085 feet by 22.
so it's $17,000 to do Chandler Way.
And then they have Woodland Drive is 425 feet by 22 feet, 90 ton.
So $8,000.
What's happening on this price sheet, it's just, at least the measurements are accurate, but the pricing does not seem to be accurate because it starts off at the top of Shirley Way Loop at $75 a ton. The bottom loop is $100 a ton. Chandler Way is $100 a ton, but then Woodland Drive is $125 a ton, which it should be consistent throughout, right? Seem to do this.
Okay, so just the paving for all of that, at today's number is $113,000. So it's not,
If we just do a top coat.
if it was just the paving. So the other costs,
I mean, wouldn't we want to do
A shim coat.
a prep and, well,
it's the reclaiming cost that,
if you reclaim it, it runs up the whole thing, right?
well, then you gotta pave
And
it.
then you got to do a base coat and then top coat.
Correct.
Shouldn't we do it right? Shouldn't we prep it, do whatever prep you need to do, reclaim it and then put a base coat on, and maybe think about putting a top coat on?
Yeah, I think
It's the right way of doing it.
if we get a price on reclaiming all of it and a base coat, maybe we get the top coated next year. And that might end up being the way we have to do it. So yeah, I mean, we're not out of this. What's the percentage? I suppose I could get at the crazy money of this.
So did you add the $2.60 a foot for reclaim.
No,
Okay.
is that what it is, 260?
So that's what I'm looking at, on Federal Corners Road.
Okay.
Which is probably at least $3 now.
Well, this is a recent price here,
Okay.
but I don't know if that's a square foot. That's the next thing is, that looks like it's probably, I don't have my phone, which is my calculator.
What is your number?
It's a square yard.
Well, they have square yard, but then it says $2 and, oh, okay, so that is for the square yard, okay. So you'd have to figure out square yards.
Okay, well, that's not hard.
And then
Yeah.
do $2.60 a square
So
yard.
what is your road length again? 37 feet, 3,700?
Yeah, 37 by 21.
Yeah, and what's the next road?
1,355 by 21.
Okay, and the next one?
1,085 by 22.
Okay, and anything else?
And then the
700.
Woodland Drive would be 425 by 22.
Divided by square yards, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so that'd be,
Yep.
9. So 16,047 times, what was your rate per yard?
260.
$2.60?
correct.
So, where's the decimal point? $41,000. So you got call it $42,000. So you got $42,000 for reclaim. And this is an estimate, obviously, they're gonna jack it up on us. And then, what is the rate on base coat?
Excuse me.
So the base coat is
Excuse me.
$91.50 a ton.
Yeah. I'm not sure I see it. Is that the 19 millimeter fine with 22 width?
What did they give you for a number for tons on that one?
So this is for 6,000 feet. For 6,000 feet, at $91.50 a ton, it's 170,000. How many feet did you come up with? You said 17,000 in total?
Something. I mean, we can do it again.
I'm pretty sure I heard you say 17,000 feet. So
That seems like it's high. 3,700 plus 1,355.
oh, excuse me, that was square yards, not feet, it was square yards.
What's
Sorry.
the other numbers? I got 1,355, 3,700, 425,
1085.
1085. So 6,540 feet. And what do you get for 6,000 feet?
For 6,011 feet, the price came up to 169,275
For the base coat?
base coat.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And then we had gravel shouldering after that
Right.
at another, probably 16,000 for that. So, it's obviously a multi-year project.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that you gotta do the reclaiming something, or you gotta have them reclaim pavement for a year.
Oh, correct, but again, I think we do the top with, like I suggested,
Right.
as far along on that as we can this year, and then we'll just pick a carry from there back down the road. We start at the end of the road and work our way out, so we're not driving trucks on it the whole time.
And what's the rate per yard again? $17?
Uh,
On reclaim.
On the reclaim, $2.60 a yard.
Yeah, so you got $22,000, that's half of it. And then your paving is half of the 6,000 number. What's the 6,000 number? 6,000 foot number that you got there?
One's 170,000.
So it's 80,000. So that's your 100 grand right there.
Well, 118, you have 18 carried over from last year that you can use.
That was kind of for, the 18,000 was actually for Canaan.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. I mean, we still have, I mean, can't spend it more than once, but we still have some money left over from that first federal grant that you used to fix your parking lot. Hopefully that's done. The $30,000, whatever you needed.
Correct, but we did get an estimate on that, which also, as we knew, went up. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I mean, if we're $18,000 away, I think we can put it together.
Yeah, but I think he needs to do it right, prep, reclaim, and base coat
I
as
mean,
far
that-
as far as he can for whatever money we have.
Like, that number would do that one loop, so that'll be the beginning. So
Yeah.
let's plan on
And that honestly is probably the worst section. So
Yeah.
if we get that out of the way, and obviously the further you go in and work your way out, it's the smartest way of doing it, so we're not
Right.
running trucks over
Mhm.
brand new pavement.
Right, right. Okay, so you'll get together with that, with the paving guy on that piece.
Yeah, I'll call them as soon as we can.
And you were gonna give us some information on your town garage parking.
Yeah, the estimate came in at like 16,000 on the paving,
Okay.
which is up from last year, of the 12,000 that I was quoted.
Oh, $4 grand.
Yeah, just,
But some of the work's been done, I hope.
yes. Yeah,
So is it ready for paving?
not quite ready yet. I didn't want to go any further until that I know that they're coming.
Okay,
There's a certain point where you just, you gotta hold off until the last week.
okay,
But yeah, the worst part has been done.
okay. So 19 Mile Beach, the ramp, have you been down to look at that?
Yes.
What's up?
So the end of it was like a little concrete poured at the very end.
Yeah.
And I think the ice just got underneath it and pushed it up. We took a backhoe and pushed it back down, put some sand on it. It seems pretty smooth now. It's not dangerous
Trees.
anymore.
How are we doing on trees?
Tree cutting?
Yeah.
So we need, we have, and I haven't got a bill for it yet, but we did have quite a few trees removed on Top to Borough Neck. He's coming back hopefully this month to continue on. But I had told him, look, there's a few trees I really kind of want to get done before I worry about any more on Top to Borough Neck. There's one on Sodom Road that just scares me. It's
Yeah.
completely dead. It's been dead for a while. And it's been on this list for a year, but I want to get that done this month. It's top priority for me. And I found several more that
Yeah.
were unexpected, and they're big, and in the middle of the road.
Those trees on Tufton Borough Neck, are those the ones that I just read about? Somebody wrote an editorial in the paper or something, or I forget where I saw it. Someone was complaining about, I shouldn't use the word complaining, commenting about some nice old sugar maples that were just cut down on Tufton Borough Neck Road.
None of them were
Are those
in
them?
good condition, so I don't know if that was it. The ones we cut down were dead or had major problems with hollowness or whatnot. I mean, some of you can put your arm right in through the middle. They were so,
We do have a choice. We can either keep trees that we're related to, or we can have a good road. I mean, we can only do trees.
No, I'm not suggesting one way or the other. I'm just responding to a comment that I read, that's all.
okay. Yeah, I did not read that. There was one tree that may have been a maple that was cut in a series of trees in a row.
Mhm.
But that was too close to the edge of the road and was causing damage to the wing. And it had a big scar taken right out of it where it hit multiple times over the years. And that's the only one. We left all the other ones there.
So do we-
That's the problem.
But all these trees were a hazard in one way or the other.
Oh, absolutely. There's no reason to cut trees other than that.
Okay. Little End Road, anything going on up there?
Not yet. That was still another one that was kind of wet. That was, ready to dry out.
But you still have work to do up there?
We do,
You still have some
correct.
money for it?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, Robert?
No,
Okay,
no, thank you.
ready to go. So you'll come back to us
The pricing.
with that pricing.
If I get it this week, I will certainly, I will give it to you.
Let's go
Candy.
forward with the scheduling the paving on, what is it? Canaan and,
The 3 that we talked about, Canaan, North Line,
North
double
Line.
corners.
yeah,
Okay. I will let them know so we can get that going as fast as possible.
great, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Rod Wood,
Yes.
you're up. Is Denise?
Yes, Denise is here.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Denise Roy, I'm an appraiser with DRA.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you both.
Phil Modwell, her supervisor. PR.
Pleased to meet you.
Your supervisor or her supervisor? We don't take supervision very well. They try, they try, but
That's for Rod. Gentlemen, the statistics.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable.
Yeah. Edging over.
So I typically help with the meetings because she's relatively new, only been here, what, 2 weeks?
Yes.
So we just kind of want to go over the contract since you're doing another reevaluation, and make sure everybody's on the same page. And explain how we monitor the work. So, checklist, kind of broad mostly. You're doing cyclical, but this is not the 5-year, this is just an interim
Right. Yeah.
statistical, I guess you'd call it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The cyclical process goes on.
Right, fine.
Well, we want to get away from the 70%.
Right,
Right, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think we voted to get as much of a reevaluation. as
Right, it's
possible.
you're gonna update the whole town, but it's not in your normal 5-year cycle, so it's,
Okay.
So some of the areas may not be in the same cycle as others, but they're still ongoing, right?
Right, still ongoing, we're doing that part of it, but as far as
And this is Avatar software, right?
Avatar, yes.
Yeah, okay. So the DRA gets the copy of the contract, which we've reviewed, and Rod being supervisor, and is there anyone else working with you here?
Brent Levi,
Brent, yeah. Is it Brent or Brett?
Brent.
Brent, yeah.
Thanks more.
No bond involved in this job, right?
No.
And we have a cyclical process, and any other assessors contracted?
No, no.
So how does utilities get done? Do you take care of that?
We use that.
The formula?
Yeah, and then Sansucci does, no, actually Sansucci doesn't want to hear this now.
Oh, he does?
Yes, I'm sorry, so that would be a third party.
Including the formula portion?
Yes, he does all
Does he do the telecom properties as well?
the cell towers, no.
No, the poles?
Oh, the whole, yes.
Okay. All right. Obviously, you're the supervisor assigned to the project. Have you started yet, the actual?
Started sales verification,
Okay, like this month or last month?
yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And your end date is October 1st?
Yep.
You'll be using the combination of cost and sales approach, I assume? And probably not income approach? or-
Probably not this one.
Okay.
Not sure.
Not all the commercial. And so you will be establishing new land values,
Yes.
new building cost tables,
Yep.
building tables, et cetera, et cetera.
Appreciation.
Yeah, depreciation. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to jump in. Kind of terminology.
Yeah, just the acronyms, like the COD, that is what?
Coefficient of dispersion,
Yeah.
just a measure of uniformity.
Yeah, we can talk about that if you'd like.
Okay,
So
the PRD, that's,
price-related differential.
Okay.
That's a measure of,
I'm okay with not knowing.
what do you call that, not uniform.
It's a measure of a comparison of high-priced properties to low-priced properties. That's the one that we talked about at our original, when we decided to do this revalue.
Proportionality.
This
That's what-
proportionality, right? This is showing that your high-priced properties are under-assessed compared to your lower.
Right, because you're over 1.0.
And the median ratio is lower than the mean ratio because,
And it's just the way this,
Just came out that way. The median is the middle, whereas the mean is the average. So if there's a lot of high-end properties, it's going to drive that average up a little. That's probably why it's higher.
okay.
So, but median is preferred in assessment. So, yeah, so your stats are all off, but what I do notice is it's quite uniform. Almost every property type is in the lowest to mid-70s, so it's not,
Right.
I don't see a huge discrepancy.
No, it's
Although
just
although the
between-
COD is over 20, but.
What do these numbers mean? Are they percentages? Are they average dollar value? Or?
Yeah, they're percentages, and it's basically the median would be the assessment to sales ratio. So it shows where your assessment levels are at compared to the market.
Gotcha.
So if we've got $100,000 property, it's being assessed at 72,900.
Yep.
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 So you might not see a whole lot of shifting in values. It may just be that everybody goes up.
or maybe it goes up now. I suspect that higher-end properties will go up more because. of
Yeah,
that
they
EID.
probably will go higher, yeah.
That's what we were thinking was gonna happen.
Which would be nicer water properties, probably, and maybe some view properties.
Yeah.
According to your contract, you're gonna look at 2 years' worth of sales?
Yeah, back April 1st, 2020.
First 2020. And let's see, you are going to go back and visit the sale properties?
Yeah.
Unless you did them, how recently, say?
I'm looking at if we hadn't been to them since they sold, I'm going to.
Okay,
So even if we had gone there the month before, it's part of our cyclical, I did check them just to see if there's anything that.
okay.
There's a reason that's changed or qualified.
You probably don't remeasure them unless you see something.
I'd give them a quick measure, not every measurement on them,
Okay.
a few.
You try to talk to them at the door.
Yeah, we
There.
sent out surveys too.
Yep.
So many.
So how will those be coded, the sale visits? Will it
So it
say
usually says sales in the thing, in the description.
just sales, or will it say like sale list or sale measure?
No, it'll just say sales.
Oh, and then it'll have L or M for list or
Yes,
measure?
yeah, it'll say, our initials, L or M, or not, we use X zeros, and, yeah, those other, we don't use the L and the M.
Oh, you use what, X and zero?
X is for nobody's own, O is for an occupant, Z if it's somebody else.
Yes.
And then in the description, how you can put a descriptor why you were there, so
Okay,
that's why I put
all right.
sales.
So you are going in if they want you to go in?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If I'm there.
DRA is still having a policy of no going in interiors just due to COVID, so we take a cautious approach. But some people wish we would go in, but
Mm.
most people don't care. You do all the data entry
Yeah,
remotely mostly? or-
mostly remotely.
And I'll let Denise explain sort of the monitoring process which she'll be doing.
Yes, so I will be monitoring the data collection for the sales that Rod has used in the revaluation. At some point, when he's finished reviewing the sales, I will ask him for a list of the qualified sales, and from that list, we generate a random sample of properties. I visit 12 of them. We usually send out 24 postcards to folks explaining what we're doing and giving them the option to opt out if they don't want us to visit. As Phil just mentioned, we're just doing exterior measurements at this point and verifying, outbuildings, the data on the card to make sure that it's correct. From that information, we prepare a monitoring inspection report, an MIR report, which you've probably seen in the past, which just scores error points if there are errors found. So that is mainly for your information. So depending on the severity of the error, if the measurements are off, it's a point system. commercial properties, but there are very few commercial properties, but commercial properties generate higher points. And sales are required to be visited. It's very important that the visit history portion of the property record card reflect that the property has been visited close to the sale date, as we were just discussing. So even if Rod has been there in a year ago, he will be revisiting those properties if they've just recently sold to verify that improvements haven't, additions, et cetera, haven't been made.
And just one thing we do now is we score points if you didn't put a visit history for the sales, so just be aware of that.
So the monitoring inspection report is mailed to Rod. He reviews it. If he wants to challenge something or explain something maybe that I missed, he has the opportunity to do that. We give him like 30 days or 2 months. If we don't hear anything, then we send that report to you all for your information and review. And that's about it.
So you have an overall median of, let's say, 72%,
Yep.
or $72. Now you want to bring the total town up to 100, theoretically.
Right.
How do you adjust for the properties that you're not reevaluating? You just make it,
Well, you build new
Percentage.
models, so you put in new land value, and I'll let you explain. it.
Right, so in the camera system, there's tables of, so when you adjust that table, it affects everybody in the whole town, not just those sale properties. So when we up the price per acre from, or building site from 50,000 to 70,000, that's gonna affect everybody. And we built a model to say that this is what our estimate of what market value is for a 2-acre building site in town. So and then the same thing with the cost per square foot of building a home. We extract that out of the sales, but then we apply that to everybody else in town that has sold. So,
So basically, the sales guide him on putting in new values, he puts them in the tables, and then they get applied to everyone.
yeah.
And then he reviews for
Yeah.
individual
Then I
adjustments.
do my field review and say, that place is.
I mean, it just seems so imperfect.
Yeah, there is,
We're
yeah.
gonna spend $40,000 doing something that maybe is valid for a year, 2 years.
You're right, it
3
all depends
years.
on what happens with the market.
Is there a more efficient way to do this?
Less subjective.
Or how often do
It
you
is a
go?
subjective business, really.
How often have you gone to see every single building in Tupton?
Well, we do 20% of the town every year, so that would be, every 5 years or so,
5 years. So
we looked at-
within a 5-year
5 years,
period, you
yeah.
visited every single building.
Right,
and
on
every single
reval
lot.
years, we don't do that part of it, so if you're doing a reval, we skip, so it's more like every 6 years that we get to every property in town.
So every 25 years, you're gonna hit everybody.
Well, no, because,
No, every
no,
six.
every 6
No, every
years.
6.
Because we go 20% every year except for reval year, so if you're on the 5-year cycle,
Right.
we'd be doing, we'd get 80%, then we'd get that other 20%. So it always, within 6 years, we're getting to every property in town,
Okay.
And you've been doing it quite a while, right? So
since 2011 when I started
so
here.
you've
I
visited
assume they were doing
properties
it before
multiple
that.
times over the years.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
don't think we've been at 72%.
Well, that's the market, I mean, that's.
Ever.
just-
So
that's
this is
just-
a crazy market, as you probably know. We're seeing these kind of numbers all over New Hampshire from Nashua to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
70s, 60%, 50%, completely.
But they're not gonna last, so now we're having this extra cycle that we're throwing in.
Mhm.
What's gonna happen in a couple of years when everything tanks? We're gonna do this process all over again?
If there's a recession.
Well, you'll have to do one in here.
You have to.
You'll have to do it at least 5 years from
Like your
now.
certificate, yeah, and they got their
You
certification.
could do it 5 years, or
20.
you could do it again in,
Right.
We get the sales every time something sells, it comes over our desk.
Right.
So we can track if it's over or under.
Yeah,
So should we be more proactive? I mean, let's take Bob's example. Let's say we're seeing properties going for under across the board. I mean, should we be moving Rod towards a more active reval?
Well, by law, you only have to do it every 5 years. Even in a crazy market, you could wait 2 more years if you wanted to, but
So
a
why
lot
would-
of towns are updating now because things are just so out of whack.
Yeah.
They feel it'll be more fair to get.
Because I mean, to explain, I think another question you're gonna ask.
Yeah, why are we doing it now?
DRA adjusts our rate to 100. I mean, they
Well,
do,
your value, we equalize your value, yeah.
they equalize our value, so it isn't gonna fundamentally change what you pay for taxes.
Mhm.
If we revalue your house to 100% of its value versus 72%, because we're already taxing it.
And it doesn't change the bottom line, it
But-
just changes the formula.
Some people will probably pay more
Right.
because higher value properties are
Right.
probably going up
Right.
at a quicker rate, so.
And that's generally the way it's been here. I mean, I've
That
been.
usually happens.
I've had a house for over
Yeah.
40 years, and I've had my taxes drop, or the rate drop,
Mhm.
on a couple of occasions
Yeah.
because of that. The
Right.
lakefront's gone up. I mean,
Right.
we don't, our local budget hasn't grown more than 2 or 3% year to year for quite a while. And that's the motivator for what, how much tax dollar.
So DRA isn't telling you you have to do it this year, it's just you've decided you want to get the
But there was
ratios.
this, no, that,
Well, and at some level, it's unfair. I mean, if you've got people who've gained value substantially faster than someone else, they're paying less tax.
Right, so it is fair to get them back on
So
the
it's more
year.
of a fairness
You know,
issue.
Moultonborough does it every year, they update every year.
Yeah. They would,
You
yeah.
could do that, but it would be something to think about whether you want to go that route. But usually it's the bigger towns and cities that do that.
Well, that ends up being more costly for the taxpayer because we
Right.
have to pay him.
say that.
Right, right. And they have such a super low
Not that
tax
we don't
rate.
mind paying him.
No, but, yeah, I don't wanna do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a lot
I mean, I
smaller
just-
than Moultonborough, aren't you? I mean, I don't know the difference, but I'm sure it's,
A lot fewer houses, but I mean, we got I think it was close to $2 billion worth of real
Well,
estate.
Moulton's got a lot more lakefront.
Yeah.
yeah.
If
they
you,
have
if you,
more,
if you
yeah.
measure every nook and cranny.
I think they have quite a bit more.
But they spend a lot more money than we do.
Wolfboro, I don't think does it that often.
No, I think they just do it regular every 5 years, so.
Okay. All right, so if you feel confident that he's gonna come up with a number that works to bring our valuation somewhere close to 100, that would be nice. I mean, my concern was that if we're just dealing with sales or recent sales, that you're really not getting a picture. But
So you apply it to everybody, so, you know, it's, I mean, it's not perfect, but it works pretty well because he's putting in the models.
Am I correct in my perception of this, that more or less, I know that there are some higher and some lower, some changes that are gonna be made. The tax rate, the formula to get to the bottom line, our assessed value of the town, and the tax rate, this is just gonna change the formula.
Yeah, so the values go up, the rate will go down, you still got to raise the same amount of money for your budget.
it's
kind of like-
what percentage of the
I get it.
local budget do you pay in your tax
I
bill?
get it.
That's all this is working on.
Okay?
What we spend for money, that's our job.
That's our job, right?
Right.
Okay.
And if your budget is relatively stable, then usually your rate is offset by your value increase
Right.
proportionally. If your budget goes way up one year, then all bets are off.
And does this affect the other obviously with the other taxation, you know, county, school, state?
So yeah, your total valuation affects certain things in the county rate and other things, I guess. The school district, depending on what the formula is. I don't know if it's based on valuation here in the school
But
district.
they're gonna use your number now anyway.
Yeah, our equalized number.
They're gonna use the equalized number, so if we get to that point, we haven't changed anything.
So right now, they're taking your old number divided by 0.75 to come up with an equalized number, which you should have just got that number recently in the mail.
Yes, that was in my box. No, I think-
Now you're gonna up to 100%, so it may come out similar to that, or it may be different, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, do they offset a year? They're like a year behind. So they wouldn't use this as far as for
Well, we'll
apportionment
use
with
this
the
till
other.
next year, yeah. Yeah. So the ratio doesn't come out till the following spring. All right, just a few other things I'll go over here. As far as us getting cards for Denise's monitoring, should she ask the town or Rod?
You can ask me.
Do you have a data collection manual or guidelines?
Yeah, it's the same one we've had here.
Okay, do you have that?
I don't think I do.
Okay, I think I've got one in the box. I can make a copy.
That just tells us, you know, what sorts of things that he picks up when he goes and visits. Does he pick up paved driveways? Does he pick up generators, solar panels?
Broadband, okay, pushing on that, I'm gonna keep pushing.
So do you pick up solar panels?
Yes.
Do you have a solar exemption in town?
We do not.
They do not, so they get assessed.
which may be something we'll think about doing.
Yeah, because they're becoming more and more common, so.
Why would we exempt?
To encourage. So what it would do, it would take the value of this, that the solar adds to the real estate.
Depends on what you want to do, you can do, some towns do it, whatever it's successful, that's what they take off. Some,
Right.
or you could do a portion of it.
Yeah, so I do like a 50%.
So the discount that you give those people, who takes the burden of that?
You're not giving them a discount.
You don't give them a discount, you just don't assess them for that added
Yeah,
value.
You haven't added on the value of the
Okay.
solar.
Just exempt the added value.
Right.
Or
portion-
not,
Or
or
a
not.
portion. I mean, you could say, the solar added
Yep.
$10,000, we're gonna not add 5,000 of that to your value, and we could work on that.
Okay.
It's an encouragement item.
Yeah.
And also not, it's no different than the power company giving a rebate for, I don't know, a new pool pump. It encourages you to be more efficient without, and takes the burden of the cost a little off of it. I mean, if you knew it was gonna cost you an additional $200 a year for, it couldn't be that much, but let's say it's $100 a year in taxes for putting solar on your house, that becomes part of the equation, whether or not to do it.
Understood. As long as we're not transferring the burden to the other taxpayers.
Now, the only people transferring burden here are the people that are living out there on the lake.
And if you were to do that, that would be something that you vote on at town meeting, so the townspeople get to vote on it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
you
something
can't
that
just-
you just say, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Most towns have it, I would say,
I would say most do.
but that's certainly a choice. Let's see, are you going to do when do you think the sales will be visited by?
When it'll be done by, hopefully within, no, it'll be done.
June.
June.
And the sales analysis,
July, mid to early July.
and are you going to do a final review in the field of every
Yes.
property? So
Yeah.
he'll drive around and look at every property from the road, make a final check.
So when you say sales, so you're just gonna do sales from January 1 to July 1? Is that-
No, we're doing from April 1st, 2020 up until now. We look at all the sales.
But there's a termination point.
Yeah, we just,
Yeah, you could terminate it April 1st, or you could go on until the end of your job. which is
right, I usually
what
have
people
go
are doing now,
into May or June at
just to make
least,
sure.
yeah, so that I have.
And are you going to have, all right, so final review in the field, you said,
Mhm.
and are you going to do informal hearings?
Yes.
When is the plan for that?
That will be September.
September.
Going to do informal hearings, have those done by August 10th. And then town mails those out. And then when I come back from vacation, we'll do hearings.
All right, so mailers in August. Hearings in September, so the town will want to get an extension under MS1 from September 1st. And are you going to have those hearings in person in here, or by phone, or maybe some of each?
Probably some of each.
Some of each. I think you had them here last time.
Yeah, I came last time, yes.
Was that 3 years ago? 19?
19.
Final values would be turned over to the town by October
October 1st, that's the time.
1st. And then you'll be doing a use PAP report, and that's your
Yep.
report of the revaluation and the sales, and those are due 30 days after the MS1.
Yep.
You can request an extension if you need more time. We suggest the town probably put this information out there to the public website or whatever, Facebook. I know that there's a revaluation going on, and your assessors visiting properties, but that's up to you.
Yeah, we did notify in the town report and also at the town meeting And we can do some more outreach.
You can mention DRA will be out reviewing some properties too, that would be helpful.
Yeah, this should probably be posted on the website.
Yeah.
And let's see, notification of rights to an abatement, does that go in your letter that you send out? Or
Usually does, the town sends it out, it's on the back.
And the back of the tax bill probably has that as well.
Yes.
Was that survey that you sent out, was that notifying people that you were doing this?
That was notifying the salespeople, it was
Okay.
sales properties only, so that's it.
Let's see. Special use properties, I know there's some camps.
That is the summer camps, youth camps, that's the only,
Is there a small ski area, or is that Wolfboro?
that's Wolfboro.
Nothing really unusual.
Nothing unusual, so.
You talked about St. Susie doing the utilities. So,
How do you get out to island properties?
The fireboat usually takes me.
How do you guys get out to island properties?
I haven't had to yet.
yeah, if we get one, we'll have to ask, I guess, the town as well.
In the years that when we did all the properties on the islands, we rented a boat and drove ourselves up there then, because the fire department didn't drop us off and then come back. They didn't want to leave us alone up there, so.
So that's pretty much our role in the contract and monitoring. Any other questions? Certainly answer.
I'm pretty good. We'll see how it plays out.
Good. I mean, my prediction is this market can't go on like this forever.
No, it's gonna be short-lived, I think.
But it's not gonna go down. I mean, that's the thing that I've noticed over the last 40 years. It'll go up, and then
Well,
it will stop going
I
up.
might have a drop for a while, then it recovers. But
And occasional sales will be fire sales, but
Mhm.
I don't see it.
yeah, I think it's more cash buyers this time. I don't
It
think
is,
There's gonna be
yeah.
a lot of closures really necessarily.
Cindy and Wakefield sent 5 this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why they're not just selling their properties, but
Yeah.
5 foreclosures?
5 foreclosures
That's
scheduled in
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
You know, what are you gonna do with that anyway?
But, yeah, it is a lot of cash, quick sales.
How's Maine doing? Is it same as
Same
here?
thing, everywhere.
Yeah, not so. I think it's a good idea to get this balance. So, because I do think there's some, I mean, we had a building permit come through Friday for $3.6 million
Oh, really? Where's
on the
that?
lake.
On the lake.
And they're tearing a place down to build this.
Is that down on Allen?
Um,
I say they've taken
Yeah,
the permit.
I remember.
They just paid like almost $2 million for that land.
Yeah, so now you got.
They're not buying the cottage or the house, whatever's on
No.
there.
You got $7 million worth of investment.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna really enjoy a reduction in value.
No.
And it's like, what is it? Beverly Bruce's house over on 171. Sold in June and then sold again in December.
Yeah.
There was a guy selling in December who bought it in June, made some money on the deal.
Yeah,
so-
I've seen quite a few of those. Like, a year later, and they make $500,000.
Yeah. And this is all you do is just property for DRA? So you can't bitch about anything else, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I oversee the towns in the north.
So I was running the concept of, across one of our reps the other day, that we pay for the bridge replacement on Tuftonboro Neck, and we get paid the state portion in 2032 when our turn comes up. And they don't allow us to do that
I
now.
didn't like that idea.
It would be nice, but it would be you guys having to carry forward a balance, and that might be troublesome, so. At any rate,
So
so
we're just a little department, DRA, we've only got 160 people.
Yeah.
DOT has, I don't know, 2,000, 5,000.
Yeah, it's, you're like the IRS.
Yeah, we're the mini IRS.
Underfunded. So will you report back to us, or we just have to believe what Rod says?
Well, we'll do our monitoring report, we'll do a report on his use PAP report when he finishes that.
And then the state will do
And
another,
you'll get a new ratio next
new
year,
ratio
that
next
shows you your
year.
stats.
So a year from now, we should be looking at close to 100%.
Yes.
See what happens.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And then if you wanted to wait 5 years next time, you could, but, or you could go back to your two.
Right, we're going to
2
depend on
years.
where they're at with their,
Yeah.
well, certification, yeah,
You'll have
they
to
need to
do
be
that,
between
yeah.
90 and 110,
That's
so it
true.
depends on where they're
That's
at
true.
that point.
That's
So
true.
that's
Market
in
is.
25, you have
Yeah.
certification next. So if the market levels off and stays constant, then you won't have to do one then, but if it does either up or down, you know, that you're outside of the parameters of either 90 or 110.
And what determines that? The market?
Yep,
Yeah, so we do a 5-year review,
Another
assessment.
subjective.
yeah.
We do assessment review every 5 years, so we did that in 2020, I think. We were a year-
Yeah,
a
2020,
year
yeah,
later
you're a
than
year
we did
later
that.
than the revise.
Yeah, 2025 would be the next review that we would do there. So in 3 years, if your market's off, you may want to do another update, or you may not need to.
Might not need to, or maybe it'll just be a partial one, maybe it'll just be a glass property. So we had talked about that at the original Selectmen's meeting when we,
That's a cutest conversation.
yeah.
A partial, I'm not thrilled with those.
I'm not thrilled with doing
You know,
either.
just up the lake, that doesn't go over very well.
No, I'm not. It's almost harder to do that than it is to do the whole town, but it doesn't save you much money anyways.
Yeah.
No, and there are properties out off the lake that are gaining in value. I mean, I look at up off of Willand Road, I'm amazed at the
Yeah.
number on a couple of those pieces.
Mhm.
And that's way off the lake, but
Yeah,
Views or?
yeah, they have a few.
yeah.
100 acres, they paid $700,000 for. or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, he's gonna spend $1
He-
million
he-
bucks on
he's
a
got-
house.
Yeah, big house.
Oh, that was just the land.
That was just the land,
Yeah.
yeah.
What road was that?
Willand, it's off of 171.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
heading towards
Dirt
Water
Road.
Village. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Susie Weeks was in, she was a selectman years ago, looking at building a house on Canaan Road.
No.
And if you look at lumber prices, there's $1 million to build a house, just to live somewhere. It's,
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get up there on the house now.
you know.
Right.
All right, I
Okay.
need to talk to you just for a
Yep.
second.
Okay.
Are you
Thank
supposed to
you.
go?
Thank you.
Good to see
It's
you.
nice meeting you.
Just left dinner coffee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
I think we were the last meeting, Chip, right? Maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's been here a
It's my
while.
6th
Yeah.
year. so-
Can't get enough, huh?
No, I just can't get out of here. Jeez. Give us a,
Our 10:15 is out in the lobby. We
Okay.
invite him in to see.
Thanks,
the-
Rob.
Yeah,
Yep, take
okay,
care.
yeah. I'll let you know when
Yeah.
sales are done.
All
so
right,
you gave
great.
us an abatement
Thank you,
last week.
Connie.
You're welcome.
Who's it?
You did.
I know, I can't remember what it was though. Which one was it?
Well, I couldn't figure it out. So, we didn't sign it.
Was it the camper? I don't know.
We didn't sign it, so it must have come back to you.
I haven't seen it in my box. Jackie
Okay,
didn't
so
give me any.
I'll get camera. We just need a little more information on what's
Okay.
going on.
If it was the camper, which we had the wrong camper, they were assessing the wrong camper. So I'm not sure that's that.
Okay, we gave an abatement on the wrong,
Oh, okay, you did
wrong
that.
piece. This was something different. So,
Not getting anything off the top.
okay, I'll look it up after the
Oh,
meeting.
okay, yep.
Thanks. Yeah.
I think it's important that the girls in the office sit in with my phone guy.
Okay.
Because they're gonna have some
Trouble
questions.
keeping the door open today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey there.
I guess
Good morning, Wayne.
Hey there.
my issue is that it's not like more budget or.
No, this is purely
So-
informational. This is where all I was going
I
with
think
this.
we're looking at pricing and functionality, so they're not really into that. And we really need to play that game out
Okay.
ourselves, and then before we sign anything or agree to anything,
Yeah, I'm not-
bring everybody forward.
Yeah, I wasn't bringing this up for
I'm seeing
that.
that happening in maybe December or January.
Sure.
If we're gonna go that route, then
Yep.
we're gonna have to create a warrant article at which point we need to pick the right company.
Yep. This is purely information.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm just, I don't think we need to get too many homes put into it. until
Okay,
we decide
good.
What direction we're going.
Good morning.
Hi there.
Wayne Fuchs, Chip Albee.
Nice to meet you.
I believe you've met Canby.
Yes, by the way, nice to see you. By the way, that was a weak handshake. Look what I did. I think I had broke my finger
Oh.
last weekend.
Golly.
That thing is just.
Yeah.
So I should have done this to you.
Horse do that to you?
Did a,
No, I was jogging out on a mountain trail, and
jogging.
I
It's
went.
bad for you.
I know. It'll kill you.
Bad for you.
So Wayne is from Teletechniques, and he's the phone vendor that we've used at the county. We've saved a ton of money at the county, put in a fantastic phone system, and saved a ton of money.
Right.
Somewhere.
Right.
So, just to recap the conversation for anybody that's watching, I noticed that we have a 20-year-old phone system in this building that is no longer serviceable. So I asked Wayne just for information purposes to come up with what it would take for us to replace our phone system. Whether we do it now or next year, or whatever the case may be, I think it's important that we at least start talking about it. So.
And get a handle on what the technology is today.
Exactly, because it's changed since we did the work at the nursing home
Right.
to what is out there today.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that you would help talk us through the changes that have been made and
Absolutely.
what we can expect. They came out last week.
Are you looking for a
Proposals.
copy of what I
Right.
I made copies. Are you part of this and would like to see this
I
as
was
well?
curious.
Okay, very good. That's the on-site grand stream system that wires in down in the basement, and this is also a copy of the other method. I've outlined two methods of being able to possibly tie the town in.
Purchase versus lease.
Correct. It's a good way of looking at it, and let the budget or the method vet out which one makes sense to you. Leasing phone systems nowadays is called a hosted system, and that's what this proposal is right here. It means not having to purchase a phone system panel or a box on the wall down in the basement and having to do this again in 10, 15, or 20 years because it became obsolete. So the method of running a hosted system is more in line with the idea. Yeah, this is a
You can
purchase.
just talk towards them, I'll just listen.
No worries. This is the other method. The idea is that you are now renting under a maintenance, a forever maintenance. You're renting the phone on the desk versus renting the outside phone lines like you're doing right now.
Okay.
So the town office, for instance, has billing of 4 outside numbers as well as the town does of about $300 per month. The PD has the same bill, 4 lines and a $202 a month. So you've got 4 lines at the PD, 5 lines associated with the town offices. The idea is you're very used to paying consolidated for those phone lines to be hardwired into the phone system down in the basement.
To the tune of about $500 a month, more or
There
less.
we go, exactly, for the town, for the entire town. So we've outlined that there are about 15 phones internally on desks. The idea is with a hosted system, we don't buy our phones, or we can optionally buy those phones if there's funding. But the idea is you're actually renting the phone system every single month for the rest of your life. So when you bought the phone system down in the basement, there was a quote for a phone system. You paid it, you own it, and you're out from under that cost. It was an upfront cost, you own the equipment, and then in year 10 or 15 or year 20, you start thinking about, should we replace it? Or should we get somebody in here to fix it? And so on and so on. It comes with a little bit of baggage. As opposed to a hosted system, everything is covered forever. The firmware, the features, the software, the phones on the desks, everything is covered. It's your forever system. You're not necessarily thinking about replacing it ever again. And it doesn't need those outside lines that you're paying for right now. So we're converting our thinking. We're converting the outside numbers coming in from consolidated on a consolidated bill. And now we're going with a hosted phone system that works over the internet and getting rid of those phone lines.
Mostly.
Mostly what part?
Like, there are a couple that we want some redundancy, right?
Phone lines.
Phone line
Exactly.
redundancy.
So can we really pull $500 a month worth of phone lines away? Does the PD, right, exactly. Is it really getting rid of every phone line from Consolidated? Probably not. Is there a phone line that's wired into an alarm panel at the PD? Things like a fax machine that still has to be an old-fashioned copper line on an old-fashioned fax machine.
Because we know that fax machines don't play well over VoIP.
Well, actually, now with hosted,
Yeah.
it's not even that anymore.
Really?
It's just good for you, because that's how we run it at the county, and we have to be careful. But now hosted is, there's nothing here. It's all called eFax. So you see, the idea is get rid of the cost per month in phone lines and put it towards the new cost per month for your new phone system. But when you have 15 phones and you have 4 phone lines, it's kind of an offset. Can we break even? Sometimes not.
Well,
Now-
you still have the cable costs, so it's not like you're getting rid of everything.
Exactly right. And you know what? Precisely, you're going to keep your Spectrum internet connection because we need it for the office anyways. I'm gonna tell you something anyways. I'm not so in tune for your sake in going to a hosted, even though that's my preferred method. I would much rather you had a hosted system. It's easier for you, it's easier for me. It's a fantastic, beautiful way of having a phone system. You know what? Spectrum is not that great as I shouldn't say it that way, but it's probably suiting your needs right now. I'm a Spectrum agent, I sell their services, but they're one of the companies that have broadband connections, it's shared, and their upload speeds are not like Comcast or BreezeLine in Meredith and so on. They're very, very stingy on their bandwidth
No.
for the cost.
We ran
And
into
it might
this-
be a trouble.
We ran into this trouble at the county specifically.
Okay.
Where we were sending our phone communications over Spectrum's internet, and we had nothing but trouble.
There.
We were constantly having broken up conversations where you'd miss a word here or half a word here, and it was trouble.
That. And this proposal for a hosted phone system, where the phone system isn't down in the basement, but it's out there at a data center, absolutely requires an internet connection, and it had better be a good connection, or I'm gonna be hearing from you every month, every week, with service problems, complaining about why did we do this in the first place. See, this is a technology meeting. I don't care if we buy something 3 years from now, just learn maybe the 2 things. So what did you do at the county when Spectrum wasn't performing?
Well, fortunately for us, fiber came into town,
I know what you did, right?
and we converted to fiber.
That's
And-
when we put First Light fiber in.
That's right, and it was a dedicated line just for telephones. A dedicated fiber line just for telephones, problems went away.
Exactly. Now, I did an analysis for you. I just contacted your telephone company, Consolidated, the carrier of carriers, really. They're the old Fairpoint, New England Telephone.
Right.
So, and I'm an agent for them. But I got a fiber quote for you here, and it doesn't pan out. It's not going to make sense to put a $500 a month fiber connection here to replace Spectrum, which is a very low cost per month for you. We're almost tripling our cost per month for internet just to have good internet for the phones.
We have the potential of not seeing broadband here for 2 to 2.5 years. It's coming. It's coming, but it's still a couple of years out.
So is the equipment, you gave us 2 quotes, you gave us one to purchase, one to lease.
Yes.
Is it the same equipment?
No, I brought it. You would look at it and you say, "Well, they look about the same, but they're not."
Okay, but if we were to purchase today,
Yes.
and 2 years from now, want to go into this magic system of yours where it's
Right.
lasts forever and lives forever, is the equipment compatible with that?
As a matter of fact, no. What a great question. Son of a gun.
So you gotta
What a
replace it
good
all.
question. Right. Because, like your system right now that was provided by some friends of mine out of Manchester, the Toshiba system, very proprietary. They all are. If you put a Panasonic system in, you have to have Panasonic phones. You have a Toshiba system with Toshiba phones, and that's all it will work with. That's a pretty good question, because that would allow you to go one way or another. And if you can't, and I say no to that, you've invested in a spend that should get us another 10, 15, or 20 years before we have to do it again.
Does this company that you're proposing have third-party licensing, much like Samsung did?
No, never again. Sorry, I should simmer down.
Well, it worked out for us in the end game.
Grandstream, I chose my next system after Samsung. Everything is built into the system. There's no licensing. There's no, oh, Wayne, I want to have call reports so we can look up last month's calls. Is there a license for that or a fee? No, it's just it's in the system. It's already there. Is there a license for a voicemail box? No. There's no licensing needed. If you want a smartphone app on it and connected through Wi-Fi so you can walk around, no licensing. Good one. Same thing with this, but the licensing is built into the monthly fee times 15 phones. And it's a pretty nice proposal. You know, it's only $352 a month for the phone system, minus however many phone lines we can get rid of. It's actually pretty darn good.
Well, you still
But I'm
have...
concerned about your internet connection
Yes.
supporting it. So, I mean, I would love to sell it. And most people sitting here won't bring up the quality of the internet. They'll let the service people deal with it after they made the sale, and I don't want to do that.
No, and I have experience enough to know that if you don't have a solid internet connection, even with a solid internet connection, you're still sharing
Right.
bandwidth with computer.
There. And exactly, Bob. And if we could put Consolidated in here and bring a nice fiber connection into the town offices, you guys would love the speed just on your PCs. You would love it.
Will you talk about computer traffic versus voice traffic, the
Yes.
differences,
Yes.
please?
Absolutely. If we run, for instance, if we ran fiber into the building, we would probably just start out with a 100 meg connection, which means 100 meg download, everything you're online doing with your PCs, or listening to YouTube or whatever you do is called the download speed. But with fiber, the speed is also matched to the upload speed, which is everything to streaming. Zoom meetings. If you were having a Zoom meeting and you had to transmit your image back out, that's the upload speed. And with Spectrum, it's only 10 meg. Anywhere you go. And the upload speed on broadband being shared is a 1/10 of what the download speed is. And it just doesn't support a two-way type of a scenario, which is what voice over IP is. Or Zoom meetings. You've got to be able to transmit your image back out.
And computer traffic can be broken up into packets.
Absolutely.
Whereas voice traffic needs to be linear.
Exactly. One of the
Right?
best things, yes, by the way, and one of the best things that I could have seen here is if you guys if you weren't in a black hole with having good internet and you were already, as a town, made the decision 5 years ago to get on a good fiber connection, then it'd be a no-brainer to figure out what method you guys want to use. Let the budgeting of this method you know, be an item, and then what's the technology? What can you do with this afterwards? It would be so beautiful to have one of these here. And budgeting wise, getting rid of some of these phone lines from Consolidated on your phone billing.
Well, we pay
It's
for
it's almost a break even, you guys, and you would not really have a budget increase every month.
it, but we don't have the technology out
You
out
don't
on the
have
poles
the
to support
bandwidth
it.
yet.
We don't have enough to support
And this
it.
is not a forever number. So you got a copy of your contract? What's your annual rate increase?
Oh, no, it's a forever.
So in 2050, we're gonna pay $430 a month?
Yes. Yes, as soon as you, yes, absolutely. Purchase the phone system the way you did 20 years ago, you own it. You still pay for your phone lines.
Right.
And did you notice that the phone lines have actually increased over the last few years to about $50 to $55 a month, back when they were $37 a month, just a little while ago. On the hosted type of system, this is a 3-year agreement, roll it over again for another 3 years, another 3 years, another 3 years, get newer updated phones with it, whatever it is, but it does not increase. It's an online thing that you can look at. I just printed the quote sheet.
Right.
So you can look at this quote online on the link that we sent.
Okay.
So, for sure, on that. I'm concerned with the bandwidth to support a phone system that's not in the basement. It's out there. That's what I'm concerned with for your sake, my sake.
What about the risks of not doing anything?
You know, right. I have always been, wait for the big failure. What are the risks? Do you have a telephone number for service, and will Hugh Pringle come out and repair that thing from PhD downstairs? Do you have service? Are they willing to say, hey, you know, for $35 per year times 15 phones, we'll give you a warm and fuzzy maintenance contract, and we'll be here within 24 hours of a failure. Right, what are the concerns? When was the last time they've been reached? Are they able to still support that system? Are they one of the companies, and you know I'm not, with the Samsung, are they one of the companies that say, hey, look, time is up. Your system is 5 years past its date. We're no longer servicing it. Then the damages could be a power supply fails. Every phone on the desk is dead, and now we're scrambling to do something. Are they able to come out because they have a power supply in stock and they're there that day or next day? That could be the biggest of damages.
And the chances of having anything in stock these days with a system that's no longer supported is risky.
There. So, I would just I've known them, they've been in business 1 year longer than me, 38 years. I would just ask them, what are their feelings? What is the warm and fuzzy with them? And they've always been a really good company, by the way. They really have. They've been around as long as I have, and lots have come and gone. I know that they are of my age about, and I know that they're looking for, you know, an exit. So I'm not sure what they've done with their base and if there's another servicing company.
What about, we have some ancillary buildings around here. We've got the townhouse across the street. We've got the fire station down the road.
Yes.
Would this be something that we combine into one phone system, or should we just leave everything individual?
So, both ways, both ways. If we combined everything, we would have a few more than 15 seats times X number of dollars per month. We could, with this purchase of this particular system, it's also that type of system that lets us link everything across town and have a few handsets over at the townhouse. The townhouse, by the way, that's a $98 a month phone bill for a phone line over there with Consolidated. You have a budget of $98 a month for that phone line.
And that phone line gets used.
Right. If we could put a $165 phone over there, tied into the Grand Stream, buy the phone, get rid of the phone line, and your payback is 2 months. Done. But with the grant, yeah, always a but, with the equipment solution, now we're back into purchasing, owning it, pay for it, get over the cost of it for your first 2 or 3 years, and get a good 15 to 20 years out of it, and you're ahead of the game, and you're not paying every month for the rest of your life, the way I say it. But we'll do a little bit of work with your IT company. There could be other things other than just an internet connection at the townhouse to support this, where your IT company has a Fortinet router downstairs. Do they have the same type of router at the townhouse? Are they even there at the townhouse? Could it be that they are involved a little bit with a piece of equipment?
Site to site.
VPN. Good.
VPN.
Man, VPN. You're right on it. So, you know what? But that, you get over that cost real fast too.
So we have multiple phone lines in this building and police department next door,
Four
which are costing
and
us
four.
roughly $500 a month just for these phone lines.
Yes.
If we were to purchase this phone system and then say 2 years down the road from now, fiber comes in, we can do what we did at the county, eliminate those phone lines and bring in fiber.
You know what? If we're bringing in fiber and transporting the phone lines over fiber, that cost will be reduced from Consolidated. They are charging about $55 a month for, you have 4 phone lines and it's $202 a month. So we're at about $50 per month for a phone line. No two ways around it. A phone system down in the basement, or my new phone system down in the basement, still needs to be connected to some kind of a phone line. There is still going to be a cost per month.
Yeah, but
For
we're
phone
only
lines.
paying for one line with and now we'd convert from copper lines to DIDs, correct?
Let me say, that cost is still a cost. You're still subscribing to Consolidated for some kind of a phone line. Right now, it's copper, and they are not liking copper phone lines anymore. They're 40 and 50 years old out there on the street, and it's too much maintenance. So those prices have been going up. They would rather transport phone lines over the internet. But you know what? Those phone lines are still going to be in the $30 to $35 per month range per line from Consolidated.
Right, if we're gonna consolidate.
Yes.
We've already been in conversations with the co-op, where you get $50 a month for your internet connection. So there are a lot of things playing out there. Consolidated needs our capitalization to do their phone line. And
Yeah, they're
they're not
2,000
willing
feet
to
away
give
from you.
us anything for it other than a first year teaser rate, and then the dogs of capitalism will take a hold of us.
Yeah, I think it's why every carrier that has a subscription service, whether it's phone lines, whether it's copper phone lines or internet-based phone lines, are going to have some sort of a fee for that service on a 3-year agreement. At the end of the 3-year agreement, 30 days before your agreement, you re-up your agreement and you keep your price over and over and over and over. So it doesn't go up with Consolidated or a phone system as a hosted system. So you get 3 years of locked-in rates. You get to renew that 3 years again, and you're locked in for the next 20 years if you just stay with whatever service you choose to stay with. I usually look at the rates again in 3 years. For instance, Consolidated right now is $500 a month for 100 meg fiber because they're 2,000 feet away from you. And they have to string fiber to this address. So they have a big build right now where it's $500 a month. If their fiber was going right by your doorstep, let somebody else put the fiber in 3 years. If it was going right by your doorstep, you would have a $197 a month fiber connection from them, and I'd be a happy guy to put an internet-based phone system in, but you don't have that right now.
No, but you can have multiple trunks over fiber, over single
Exactly,
fiber,
but
correct?
you know what? If you're going to have fiber, you're gonna pay them for their services for data, something, and you're gonna pay them to be able to make a phone call. One way or another, you're going to pay to have them give you a phone line for a hardwired phone system down in the basement. One way or another, they're going to, for you to pick up the phone and order pizza down the road, you've got to get to an outside line, and they're going to charge for that. They're charging far less if it's internet served, because they don't have to do anything anymore. They don't have to worry about copper and always scrubbing the lines and fixing them and so on. So there's still going to be an associated cost when they do come clean and they say, hey, everybody, you don't have to have copper lines anymore at $50 a month. Let's show you our internet-based lines at $35 a month. It truly is that. You're talking about the PRI, but that's still a cost per month over at the county.
Right.
It's a big pipeline of 23 lines, but it's still a cost per month.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Does that all, see,
Yeah,
that's all I
I
wanted
think we've
to,
got
I
the,
wanted you guys to know the foundations
I
of
think we got
both.
the elements of it.
Yes.
And obviously, I'm sure Bob told you, or he didn't, I'll tell you that, you know, this isn't a budgeted item for 2022, so we're going to
Absolutely.
look at it as we go along and perhaps get more serious about it for the 2023 budget.
And do a little homework with PhD. Find out how comfortable they are. Find out your comfort level. Give them a phone call and see how they are about servicing. By the way, that's the way I do my work. I don't hound you, I'm not making a sale or whatever, but 3 years from now you'll say, hey Wayne, remember us? Let's bring it on then.
Awesome. Well, thank you for,
Of course. You know, the town of Loudon is in the same place. We just had a big meeting with them, and they don't have fiber, they don't have internet. They are $1,000 a month for fiber.
wow. So we're kind of, at this point in time, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Because of
The technology hasn't caught up
the
with us.
pipeline coming in off the street, yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming down.
Oh,
Watch out for the hand.
Oh, that's right, broken hand.
yeah, look at that thing, I mean.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're like Bob Dole. All right. Thanks for coming.
Okay, take care. Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
everyone.
Glenn Cordelli. Long time no see. You are-
Morning.
Katie Cunningham.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning.
Bob Murray,
Katie
pleased to meet you.
Cunningham.
Hey there.
Thank you very much for hearing us this morning. As you probably know, there's redistricting has been going on, and there are new districts to represent Tufton and Borough, both on the state rep and Senate levels.
The Senate change?
Yep. Well, Tufton Borough won't change in terms of representation, but the district lines have changed around the state. So state rep districts have changed, and Tufton Borough now is covered by two districts. One being Tufton Borough, Wolfboro, and Ossipee, and I will be running for a seat in that district. And I wanted to introduce Katie, who will also be running to represent Tufton Borough.
Yeah, I'll be running to represent Tufton Borough and Wolfboro. So Carroll County District 6 will now be both Wolfboro and Tufton Borough. There will be two reps for that.
So those
Interesting.
pesky blue voters in Tufton Borough, they had to get rid of those. Yeah. Sort of a New Hampshire version of gerrymandering. So you have a primary?
Yes, there will be a primary, as
Right.
far as I know.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only reason Glenn would come here anyway, because he doesn't come here very often, so there must be a primary involved.
I don't know if I will or not.
Did the number didn't change, though, there's still, what, 14 in the county or whatever, of reps,
Yes, right, 15.
15 reps?
Right, I don't think that changed. Yep. Yeah, all the districts in the county changed, and there's some new ones. Sandwich, for instance, which was in one of your districts, is now in one larger district with two reps. And Moulton Borough has changed, as did Tufton Borough and Wolfboro. So,
So Wolfboro doesn't have a rep of their own? It's all
Correct.
We have to share with Tufton Borough now.
Right.
Yes, yeah. But, yeah, Katie has
So,
been a long-time Wolfboro representative and has connections to Tufton Borough as well.
Yeah, so we came to introduce myself to you. So my husband and I moved to Wolfboro 27 years ago. And when we moved to New Hampshire, we didn't want to necessarily change New Hampshire.
No.
We came because we like the values that the state espouses, and
That's why I live here.
wanted to fit right in. And it's too bad Guy isn't here, because his family was some of the first people that welcomed us to Wolfboro. So I was sad not to see that guy would be here today. But anyway, yeah, so we built a farm. We're on Trotting Track Road. We built the rock farm from the rocks up. And
who used to own that? On the left, as you're going towards the neck.
yes, oh gosh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Shoot, I can't even remember.
Yeah, he had just built that house on the road there, but he hadn't cleared all of that.
No, we decided that was a good idea. Yeah. So we raised 4 girls here. We homeschooled. My husband's a doctor and a Navy, he's a Navy reservist. He just made captain. So I just decided that running for state rep was
A
a
good
good idea. And I never thought politics would be my thing, but as my kids were growing up or leaving the house, I thought, well, I haven't gotten involved in civics much, so now I need to
Yeah,
add
nobody
that.
does. They don't teach it anymore.
Yeah, so,
We're getting back to that.
yeah, so I got very involved, paying attention to state politics, and,
So you're a rep now?
no,
Okay.
no.
So
This
you
will be
had
my
the
first
trip to town.
run, yes. Yeah.
My concern with the new district, if it's correct, the way you described it, is that we do have conflict with Wolfboro, so you're not going to be any help at all. So that concerns me.
No, not help in terms
Okay,
of,
for instance, Wolfboro decided to move their affluent to Tufton Borough at
Oh.
the headwaters of the 19-mile brook.
Mhm.
I see that as a problem that hasn't quite reared its head because they haven't turned it on, or they may have just turned it on. So when we look for relief, occasionally we would look to our representative, because our senator is a resident of Wolfboro, so he's not
Mhm.
going to be any help. So now we have no political help in Concord. That's a concern I have. But there's nothing we can do about it, is there, Glenn? We're gonna, I mean, the party
Well-
redistricts and they just do it.
The state rep districts have been signed into law now by the governor. But I think a representative wouldn't, rely and base their opinion on things based on the town they live in necessarily. I think that, hopefully, we all would, look at the situation
Even
and
though
the
there are
issues.
probably 6,000 voters in Wolfboro and 2,000 voters in Tufton Borough, I think there might be some political calculation that
But
goes on.
I don't know, I've never, in 10 years, calculated anything based on the number of voters involved in the decision.
well, I'm still representing the same number of people, because you're
No, you're.
calculating based on
I'm looking for a
population.
representative for our issue, that's all. And
Yeah.
we're not gonna have it. I'm just gonna have to live with it. Nothing I can do.
Well, I would have to look into that further. You're right, I forgot about that being a
Yeah.
big issue
I mean, there are
between the towns.
conflicts, and most of the conflicts we can generally work our way through. That one, I think is gonna be a little harder.
Yeah,
We've had the issues with Abenaki and that kind of thing, or the amount of money Tufton Borough sends to Wolfboro for youth sports programs. That's always a discussion. Those are
Mhm.
kind of minor issues that you can generally solve across the table.
but those are issues that keep more under local,
Yeah, we're not gonna look.
you're not gonna be
Concord
coming to
now.
the state for help.
Yeah, yeah, and we're not getting any help from DES because they're so invested in that septic system
Mm.
that they're not looking for any sort of
They're not
discussion with Tufton Borough.
they're not gonna push it back.
And we're a really small player.
Mhm.
That's why we live here, because we're small.
Yeah.
At
Yes.
any rate, I'm sure you'll prevail, if you can prevail in your primary. I don't think there's a, is there a Democratic candidate? There must be.
You haven't
but
heard any
it's-
yet.
It's
Yeah.
difficult.
There'll be
I
somebody.
mean, loneliness is a Carroll County Democrat.
It used to be. I don't know. That's what I remember hearing when we moved here.
Right.
I remember a cartoon in the Granite State News to that effect.
I forget who coined that. I thought it was Robin Gordon.
I told you, switch sides, you'll be much happier.
What's that?
Switch sides, you'll be much
I would
happier.
have. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, probably. Now, never. It's just too,
I've always had an opponent in the general election, you know.
yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I ran against you once.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good thing. It cleans up nobody should get a free ride.
Right.
And it makes your candidacy
Stronger.
cleaner, stronger.
Yep.
And, you know, people don't pay attention when they get a free ride. That's,
Besides, who doesn't love a good race?
yeah, that's what politics is all about.
That's the fun part of it.
No, but losing builds character, let me tell you. I've lost a number of them. It's not a bad thing.
I'm well aware. You know, I didn't get to be this old without losing a few times in my life. Yes, I agree. The more you lose, the younger you are, the more you lose, the better it is.
Right.
And we all have
So
our
two
ups and
things,
downs.
a couple of things that stick in my old craw. The pay gravel, I don't anymore because I sold the gravel pit, but used to pay a gravel tax, which is a resource extraction tax. I've paid timber tax, I'll pay timber tax again. That's a resource extraction tax. Why is the water industry exempt from that? I want a similar resource extraction tax on commercially extracted water. That would help you pay for your education shortfalls, your retirement shortfalls. DES should stay out of that money. But there's a place where, for some reason, that industry gets a free ride. That bothers me. If you want to eliminate gravel tax and eliminate timber tax so nobody pays taxes on extraction, do that. But don't pick and choose. So that's one issue I have. The other issue I have, which you might be able to help on, is that our position on the bridge replacement list with the Department of Transportation went from 2025 to 2032 in a heartbeat. You know, we've got a bridge that is almost in failure, going to the most valuable real estate, I'm gonna guess, in Carroll County, if you add it
Where's
all
that
up.
bridge?
Tuftonboro Neck.
Oh, yes.
It's the only way to get
Yeah,
there.
no, like,
Yeah.
So we're looking at the most valuable real estate in Tuftonboro not being serviceable because there is no other way out there. One proposal I came up with was we'll pay for the replacement of the bridge. And when our turn comes up, you'll pay us the 80%. And DRA said, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. Realistically, and I'm not in favor, I'd rather have them put us lower on the list. But realistically, the state would then be paying 2022 prices in 2032. Not a bad deal.
considering the inflation these days,
So,
it's a
yeah.
really good deal, probably.
So we're in a position of having the resources probably to replace the bridge, but we shouldn't have to give up our 80% New Hampshire participation for that. So it's just something that you need to look at from a local perspective. And I know that, how many are there now? There's 400 and something of you people?
Yeah.
You know, you need to build a lot of coalitions, because those guys from Manchester and Nashua, and they're gonna get everything they want. So you need to get some.
Well, we have another Carroll County representative who is vice chair of Public Works and very involved with Tender, Mark McConkey, lives in Freedom. But you know, each year we look at the 10-year plan, so you know,
And
we'll be
every
doing
10
that.
years, we get pushed out. And I'm just bringing that up because you're here. And if you don't want to hear it, don't come here anymore. But if you come here, you're going to hear something. So, those two items I think came to mind this morning. The bridge thing I brought up with Brody, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, Brody's shade.
When he was here. You know, I realize it's a non-starter, but it shouldn't be. There should be avenues for us to do things. I mean, I'd love you guys to pass a home rule, but that
Yeah,
doesn't work.
right, right.
I know the guys in Conway should love that. They could charge an extra $1 on their ski tickets and pay for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well, good
All
luck
right.
in your election.
Thank you.
Glad to see
Nice
you
to meet
all.
you.
Good
Best
to see you.
wishes.
Glenn?
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
All right, who do we have left?
Stay.
Is it somebody?
Steve Stedner at 11:15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I was gentleman.
Yes, I do.
Getting old.
P-E-T, right? Yeah, it's all D's, P-E-T-E-R-N-E-L. Don't add any other vowels.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you a service dog?
Take care.
Yeah. Service dog. How's your cruiser coming along, Chief?
I sent the stuff to the guy. It should be. I expect to hear something soon as to pick it up. As far as getting prices on everything, I'm still waiting to hear back from people.
Okay.
Does OME do all that?
I do get prices from them. It's gonna just the install stuff is over 10,000, so I have to get prices by our purchase requirements. But I have usually had Nevo do it down in Newington.
Is the other fella here or is
Not yet. 11:15 was when he was.
I've also used Diamond Ledge out of Sandwich too at times, but lately I've gone with Nevo down there, or it used to be two-way communication. The vehicle's now Nevo. There's probably 4 big ones that do it. There's also Adamson and Lawrence, obviously OME, and then there's another one down in Hudson. I can't think of their name right now.
But OME just does radios, right?
No, they'll do the whole thing.
They do lights and everything?
They will do the lights and equipment, but they won't put the stickers on. Nevo will do the stickers, everything. So Adamson will do the stickers, everything. And actually MHQ, there's a 5th one, MHQ and Mass, they'll do everything too. And actually you can buy a car from them. They'll fit it and you can just pick it up all done. But they're not often the cheapest.
You paid for that privilege.
Yeah. Okay. But they usually have them in stock that other people don't have them because they somehow manage to buy a bunch and fill their lot
So
with Ford.
let's do the correspondence.
Okay.
It's a good thing the chief's here.
I have a copy of the quote from Lakes Region for the phone fee.
I got that last week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you gone over the letter that we got back from
Yeah, I did.
RDA?
I did. Yeah, so we talked, that's why I came in partly for today, was
Okay.
because I know we talked last week about talking about it.
Okay. Did you
Our
look
our
at
phone
it?
call that we had.
Yeah. Did you have a chance? to
Yes, I did.
look? So where do we go, chief?
Well, I did ask a question back. A couple things that she didn't address. I think these are the questions we asked, but in our phone call, there was another part of it where we asked about if it was okay to reach out to contractors to get bids. And she said yes, as long as it's part of an open, public
Right.
bidding.
Yeah.
She did also mention that, this Diane Drown also said that it can be daunting, some of the paperwork for smaller contractors to deal with the federal requirements, so some smaller ones may pass on it, but we're certainly okay with, it's not against the rules for us to contact somebody and say, put a bid in too. And as long as it's, it's fairly done. Basically, it says we could do it either way. I did ask a question back Because my question about the code officer, clerk of the works was, originally I thought they approved that going forward before. Honestly, we're using construction management, so we kind of had two sets of eyes
Checks and
watching it.
balances.
My question was, if we go to a general contractor type situation, which we discussed in the phone call, and that's what my question was, will the code enforcement officer check in a couple days a week and be enough, or will they require an actual clerk of the works there at the site all the time? And she didn't really answer that, because it went back to construction experience is required, resume will need to be provided for review and concurrence. And so I responded back, we already answered that, I thought, as far as under construction management. Under GC,
Well,
we have different.
I think they're vetting the individual.
It depends on what you get your general contractor to do.
Yeah,
If the general contractor is gonna bid to do the whole project,
right,
soup to nuts, then you don't need a clerk, because you don't have to monitor bids and you don't need to look at that part of it. But you do need to have Jack,
yeah,
and you do need to have the architect, and they have to sign off on
right.
the building before these people get paid. So it needs to get built to spec. I think that's I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
think that's workable. We haven't put it out on the street.
Right, and I guess she left it that we can do, we can, basically, we could do it as I read this, we could do it as a general contractor, but it's a different process, both have to be open process. They did have expressed concerns about the cost per square foot.
Yeah, and I think that validates our position, which was it's too high.
Yeah,
You know, it's a 44% increase year to year, which is way over the top. And I think at $450 a square foot, it's a little high. So I think a lot of the costs that would concern us about a clerk or even a clerk of the works could be mitigated simply by putting it out on the street as a build this,
Yep.
give us a price. Maybe there's money left over.
so I think it said, my take on that phone call is we could do it as a GC type system too. You just have to, and they have to kind of sign off on stuff.
Right. It's still all bonded. We pay for the bond, but I mean, at least it's an insured building process.
Can't we take a better look at just getting this grant out of the picture?
The what?
The grant, and not dealing with these people?
I don't think you can take $600,000 out of the process and have anything.
That would give us the ability to do this building in stages, at least get it started.
Okay. And then depending on the vagaries of the town meetings, you finish it at some point.
Yes, we'd be held hostage, and that's probably not the proper term to use, but you get my point.
Yeah.
At what money we would have coming down the road, whether we have it or not. But I think for the money that we do have for this project, we could get the framework of a workable police station, even though it might not be finished entirely. We'd have the framework of a workable police station. That's substantially better than we have now.
Right.
I would entertain further discussion about getting rid of this grant and doing it on our own.
Let's schedule a meeting. I don't know if Phil needs to be in, because it's really, he's got the design, the design is the design. Because Guy's not here as well.
I know.
So let's figure a meeting sometime in June, because May's going away on us, to limit the number of outside people coming in, and we'll spend an hour or two on this and see if we can't figure out a way forward. And maybe between now and then we can get some idea, either from Rod or through people you know, what's the square foot cost currently? I mean, I couldn't hazard a guess. I mean, I know what it costs me to do stuff, but I'm working on my own and all I'm paying for is materials.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like the plumbing thing I thought was way over the top. Maybe I'm wrong. I know the cement's too much. So maybe between now and June, we can get some idea through our personal contacts what actual costs might be if we were to do it like we're building a house. You know, hire a contractor, pay for the cement. I mean, a lot of what our rural development or whoever this is, FDA, a lot of the conditions they put on these processes is to protect us from us and to protect our taxpayers from fraud. So a lot of what they do, I mean, the process looks a little Byzantine because there's so much paperwork involved. But a lot of the reason for that is to sort out I'll put a new roof on your house for $10,000, give you a $5,000 deposit, and then you never see that. You know, to get rid of the riprap, if you will, that's out there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Maybe we're a little different. Maybe our town's a little different. We've got some more contact with local contractors.
No, it's over here.
Even if nothing comes out of this, I think we at least need to
Yeah,
have a discussion.
I'm perfectly happy to do that.
Because right now, we're just kicking the can down the road, and it's gonna be a long road, the way things are going right now.
Yeah.
Long road.
Yeah, well, we're making money on
Howie?
it's going up. Interest rates are going up. We're making up on interest in 10 years. Do it all up.
Right.
All right. Okay, so we'll figure out a meeting sometime in June when,
So do you want it on the 13th, which is the 9 o'clock day?
it doesn't necessarily have to be. the
Oh, you don't want it
9
on meeting day, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it when, an evening day as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
It's just the local pod here, it's not anybody from outside.
Okay.
All right, Steve Setner, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're up. What's up?
How are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Very well.
And who else? Sorry.
Bob Patterson,
Okay.
6 Lady Slipper Lane.
All right.
And so we both live over on Lady Slipper Lane. And, you know, the question of concern is about the noise from the MX 171, the new motocross track. What options do we have to mitigate that noise?
Well, part of the problem we have is that our zoning ordinance doesn't address a noise problem, other than mentioning noise once in one line.
In that section 522?
Right.
Yeah, I brought that. It seems a perfect.
It seems perfect to you, however, when we run it before town's council, the attorney that we have, it's unenforceable because it's not defined, it's not specific. And it doesn't have to be specific to MX, it just needs to be a lot more specific than the language that's written there. So I talked to the
Excuse
chairman
me,
of our
sorry.
planning board, and the planning board is the board that institutes new regulations and has a public hearing, that sort of thing, when it comes to zoning. So we're sort of left with, it's unenforceable from our end of things. As it stands, the information we've been given is that he's not charging, and so it's not commercial. Once it were to become commercial, now it has to go through site plan review, and conditions can be set on the use of the property for that purpose. But it's currently just private property being used as a private.
So I would actually question a few of the things that you said. First of all, I don't see how this isn't perfectly clear and perfectly enforceable it's a non-conforming use with the zoning of the
Right.
area, and.
So are
and-
you an attorney?
No, no, no.
Then what
No,
do you do? Okay, so
I
that's,
just play one on TV.
yeah, that's the next step. You may feel personally, and you as well, and other people around, may feel that that is a perfectly enforceable ordinance. Our attorney has told us it isn't, so we can't go forward. You could hire an attorney who could take them to Superior Court and do all of these things.
Take the property owner.
Right, and make that action. And if the court says that's an enforceable, when you go to them and says that's an enforceable ordinance, then we'll enforce the ordinance. But they would have to give us a ruling on that.
So your attorney gave an opinion that this is not enforceable. I mean, for me, if I got that feedback, I would find another attorney that would.
Really, I'm
You
not
know-
gonna shop lawyers just because they don't tell me what I'd like to hear. I mean, I wouldn't be married currently. So just because the attorney tells me it's unenforceable, I have to accept the fact that that person who does only municipal law for probably 30 different towns in New Hampshire probably knows what they're talking about. I mean, I could find an attorney who would say differently. That's what our friends in Wolfboro do.
I'm just
And all
curious
you
what's
do is-
unenforceable about it.
It's because the term noise isn't defined. There's no limit to the decibel level.
So he has a sign posted there that actually quotes a decibel level according to some standard of 96 decibels. What he doesn't quote in his signage is usually decibels, when they're referenced in a noise thing, are referenced based on, measured at a certain distance. So it's 96 decibels on the A scale at 25
Which
feet.
brings me to the next point I was going to make. I met with our local fish and game officer who would have jurisdiction over the use of off-road vehicles. That's part of their program. He does have, although he doesn't have a decibel meter, he does have the authority to go in and say, okay, that's too loud, or that doesn't have a spark arrestor, or that's an unregistered vehicle.
I have a decibel meter, I'm happy to load it to him.
But, and I'll let him know, but I think he can find one. He knows that there's an issue there now. So he knows, he has been up a couple of times. I think. His other problem is the fire hazard of not having spark arresters and whatever on the mufflers of the motorcycle, so that's an issue. But from him, I got the information that there was a schedule put out there, because one of the people that came in before you had mentioned that, they run all night and started.
Well, they don't run all night, they quit when it gets dark.
They were putting together a schedule for when the area was open for usage.
There is a schedule posted. That was one of the other questions I had from what you said, that it's not a business, so he's providing the value. He's providing services, so he's providing the track, he's providing track maintenance, track improvements with heavy equipment, he's watering the tracks. There's a truck there now, a new truck for carrying and distributing water. I don't know where the water's coming from. There's a picnic area there now. I think there's a porta potty, is that correct? Is there a porta potty there?
I think so, I believe so.
So there are services being provided, and the value he's getting, we know that he's asking for a release to be signed.
Yeah.
We don't know if there's any financial transaction. I saw nothing that mentioned a financial
Right.
transaction,
So-
but there are services being provided, there's value being received.
Yeah, welcome to New Hampshire. Until he gets money for that, nothing happens. The minute he gets money for that, then this whole dynamic changes, because now he's a commercial operation. So even though he's giving those services or those parts of the service, that's just his largesse. That's like me giving a donation to the library. It's just a public donation, if you will. So the waivers were brought about, I believe, by Vanessa, the one of the co-owners of that property, Vanessa Bidham. And she came in and we gave her or our office gave her the RSAs that govern this activity. And they're looking at substantial liability if someone were to get hurt there because they've engineered the ground. Who engineered it? How did it work? Why did my kid break his neck? The town has no liability there. It's because it's private property. So I think, given that information, the waiver happened. What other things might happen going forward, I'm not sure. But if they intend to have an event, that's also regulated by statute. So once they decide they're going to have an event, the town has to get involved.
So what defines an event? Is it something that's published with a date?
Yeah, published with a date with an entry fee and prizes or whatever. It's pretty well defined in the statute, and I don't have the statute memorized, so it is a noticed date of something happening, an event happening, that then triggers the need for planning board approval, selectmen board approval,
Fishing game.
fishing game approval.
To get a permit for that through fishing game, for an event permit.
But they can't even get the permit until they've gone through.
Right, so the other
site plan
steps,
For
but-
the town. So the town has to, we have events at the beach, for instance. We have concerts down there. So we issue the permit for that, if you will. But we get insurance, liability waivers, and all that stuff.
So if, just out of curiosity, if there were an event advertised and they come to the town, does that then classify it as a business? I mean, does that trigger something in the town? What is the position of the town with regard to the motocross facility in the residential area, notwithstanding the things we've discussed today?
We haven't taken a position.
That's right.
You know, okay, we haven't as a board voted on a position. We did vote whether or not we were going to go forward with the request of the people that came in before you, which would be, I think, the equivalent of a cease and desist. And we weren't willing to do that because we didn't think that we had the legal authority to do that. As far as like a categorical position, that's not, I've been here for 6 years, and before that I was here for 3 years, back in the early 2000s, and I don't remember ever voting or having a board of selectmen vote to take a categorical position on something. Even in the 80s, when we were hoping that there would be a categorical position on condominium developments on Melvin Bay, that didn't happen. It still went through zoning. There was never a position, if you will, taken by the board.
So maybe I'm using the wrong terminology. I mean, is the town considering a change to zoning to talk about, to redefine what noise is in a residential area? Or?
I think it's going to inevitably happen. I mean, we don't propose zoning generally. I don't ever remember doing it. The planning board proposes zoning changes. We don't do that as a board of selectmen. That's why we have a planning board. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of testimony before the planning board as to what could we do about this issue. The problem, I mean, historically, the problem has been with noise is if you go up Ledge Hill Road, across the street from where a former selectman still lives, Susie Weeks, is Nippa Williams, and he used to start his log truck at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the guy across the street wanted him not to do that. Well, and that was an issue back in the early 2000s, that we're supposed to stop this guy who's got a logging business from starting his truck at 7 o'clock in the morning because this other guy wanted to sleep late. So we've always been reluctant to over-regulate for things like noise, people shooting guns. There's another, I mean, I picked Ledge Hill Road because it's just there, but there's the people that bought Jim Duke's house have a shooting range out back, and they'll be popping up thousands of rounds a weekend. That's a noise issue from my perspective, but from the general perspective of the town, do we want to legislate or regulate all that kind of activity? I mean, you're working on, or your problem currently is the motocross, which I think it's different, but in a certain regard, it's the same. How much regulation on private property are we willing to put up with?
I appreciate that hesitancy to regulate.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in more regulation. However, you know, when we look at a property, and you buy a property, and you know the road's there, you know you're going to deal with that, and it's an interim thing. They're riding down the road and they're gone, even if there's a line of them. But the motocross, even snowmobiles, for example, riding up, they come and they're gone. Even if there's 20 of them, they come and they're gone. With the track, it's around and around and around and around, and there are dozens of them. Obviously, you have a safety issue on the road. You have parking across the street on the utility property. I don't know if that's been addressed with the utility
Well,
yet.
the utility only has a right-of-way where it's fenced and an access right-of-way, but they don't own the land.
So that little space in front of where everyone parks?
That's still Vidham property.
Okay.
Yeah. Even the power line. I mean, the power line they don't own the property, they have a right-of-way. So the ground is still owned by them.
Is there any indication why somebody would want to put a motocross?
He likes motorcycles. And just to play devil's advocate, just hypothetically, if you love your lawn, you're anal about your lawn, you leaf blow every Saturday and Sunday, you're out there with a leaf blower all day long getting that last leaf off. Would you want the town coming in and telling you to don't do that? You can't do that anymore. You're making too much noise. Your neighbors are not happy.
Again, that's an interim thing, and I have neighbors that blow their leaf blowers, and I've actually lived in areas that have done exactly what you just said. I'm not an advocate for it. I'm not advocating for that. I've lived in areas where they've said, hey, no leaf blowing during these hours, or your leaf blower has to, meet this sound threshold, or not, whatever. But clearly a motocross track, it's only going to get worse than it is now. It's never going to get better unless it's regulated.
Well, it's going to get a little better when the leaves come out. The sound level is going to get a little better.
In regards to that, they're leaving the track. They're going by the power lines down and over Canaan Road to my Fred Bloker's property. He's clearing and building a house. They've been down there numerous times. And in addition to, so I look down over my yard, I can see Canaan Road, and there's the dirt bikes coming down the power lines is posted, no motorized vehicles, and then they cut across Canaan, they're ripping through his yard, and then they see the yellow chain from Nat Crane's property, so they turn around, and then they're backing over, and then I'm like, what the heck is this coming down the road? And it's a water truck with no muffler on it. I'm assuming going down the Melvin River to top off to water down the track. It's like, so it's not just, they're not just staying where they're supposed to, and I understand kids are gonna do, I had a dirt bike when I was a kid, and it's the way it was, but this is like, it's open up to pretty much whoever wants to sign a waiver. They could be a town person, out of town, out of state.
And the word for this is going to spread. It's going to become, this is what I was alluding to earlier, it's only going to get busier and busier. It's only a matter of time before somebody gets hit there on the road, or there's an issue with the traffic and the noise. It's just going to get bigger. They're bringing in heavy equipment to make a track in there.
Have you met with Jimmy to try to talk to him and see if you can come up with some kind of...
that was what we had told the last folks. The easiest solution is come up with accommodations between the parties.
I had an epiphany at 2 in the morning. Electric dirt bikes. They make them.
Yeah.
They seriously, they do.
No, I'm sure they do. I'm not certain that not having that roar is gonna satisfy
Has the town
the
approached
amygdala.
the property owner at all? Has the town approached him? I mean, you're asking me to go knock on this guy's
No,
door.
actually, I haven't, no. I'm sure one of our other selectmen has, who's not here today. So I'm certain that, and we're on YouTube or whatever this movie theater is. So I know that the information is getting to the landowner. But you have to remember that if we were to go there as a board, now we're taking a position. Why are we there? You know, we don't have the ability to regulate them, so why are we there? If it's, I don't know, government intimidation, that's not gonna work. Is it trying to get two parties together? The two parties should come together on their own. I mean, we have a limited form of government. And the Board of Selectmen are limited in what authority they have. They're limited by statute and they're limited by local regulation.
I did go there.
About what?
I went, well, both of us went on separate times, same day, separate times.
Yeah.
Beautiful sunny day. And, you know, I went there, I spent about a half an hour listening and watching.
So if that track was in Melvin Village, down at the corner, how long would it last? If that was right outside here, how long would it last?
Why wouldn't we put it here?
Because there's a graveyard there, there's not room enough for it.
Well, they're not gonna complain about the noise.
It's like saying-
There's not space enough for it.
Like if, well, we just like wanna tune our bikes and stuff. And, you know, just like if Will Williams, now I know I've ridden with Will across the way, if he decided to have a tune-up shop over there and had a dynometer, and that was like, you know, just tuning his bike and his friends' bikes.
But you don't think similar, I don't know what it takes to do what you just described, but you don't think similar mechanical activity isn't happening in the dozens of car collector shops up in Melbourne? I'm sure it is. You know, whether they're tuning an engine or driving around the parking lot or whatever they do. I don't know what car collectors think and do, but I know there's activities up there that are totally unregulated because it's a home hobby, if you will. And I don't know how to get over that hump until Jimmy Vittams or Vanessa Vittams start charging for entrance or parking or
I
anything
greatly
else.
appreciate your commitment to limited government. You're probably the first guy I ever met in government that was interested in limited
I'm
government.
the only Democrat here, so go ahead.
So, which is even more of a shocker then.
Yeah.
But I almost hear an intransigence to even address the issue. It changes the nature of this town. It's certainly why I moved here. And the situation is very different than every point that's been brought up. I mean, it's a racetrack in a residential area.
Yeah, and I appreciate the
I
fact
mean, and not a racetrack, because I don't think they're racing each other, they race themselves.
you didn't move into a neighborhood where there was a pig farm and have decided now you don't like pigs. You moved into a neighborhood where there wasn't an MX track.
Right.
And now there is.
Right.
So I realized
So it impacts the value of my home
that
also.
I realized the difference there. And I don't want you to confuse, we meet once a week, 2 months worth of talk about the MX track with intransigence. It takes a little while to work through these situations.
I understand.
And our preferred way of doing it is for local property owners to figure it out. I think the scheduling that they've put together is a first step. I don't know if you guys feel that or if you don't.
I don't feel that way because I think that the usage, that type of usage at all, where it's open to the public. So basically, I can be from, Massachusetts or New York or South Carolina, driving up here with my bikes, drive as a destination resort, drive to that spot from out of area. It's a magnet. And then I'm gonna tell, my friend, he's gonna tell all his friends, and it's gonna get published. It's just going to grow. It seems completely out of place. It would be like me putting a concert facility on my property and inviting bands over to play all, late into the night. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate it.
And please don't confuse lack of action with lack of compassion. We do understand, but we understand both sides, and we have to play both sides. Like Chip said, we're in a position where inaction is really the way for us to go right now. It's more of a civil matter. It's more of a matter with you and the property owner to come to some kind of
Yeah, I mean, if you
agreement.
feel like your property value actually has been impacted, then you got a cause of action. I mean, that's one way to look at this thing. But, and not to protract this, if your position is no MX track is the only solution, then you haven't gotten to the point where you can negotiate. So if it's 0, then you're gonna have to live all summer with it till you can change the zoning laws. And those aren't gonna change until next town meeting, which is next March.
And I understand that, and I understand that that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
But, so to me, the time for action is now to start putting that in place. Is that the avenue then, is to go to the planning commission and propose a planning board and propose a zoning change?
Yeah, that would be.
Action on our part right now would be moot because it's unenforceable. If we took action against Jimmy Vittum, he could take us to court and we would lose. And
And then we spent the public money on an
where
attorney,
would that put everybody?
and we're not gonna misspend public funds. That's gonna surprise you too, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you know Mike Sylvia over in Belmont.
Yeah.
The House Rep, he's on the gun stock committee, and they're going through lots of money with their attorneys. Nothing's getting done, but he's in the paper all the time. He's a friend of mine. I worked with him at FedEx. Nice guy, but he had no problem spending attorney's fees and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't wanna go down that road. I guess that would be to approach the planning board, see what they need for next March,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Go
a
from
good place
there.
to start.
you know?
Did you talk with Mr. Vittum I don't know him, I wouldn't know him if he walked in the room. But, I'm just thinking in my mind, the idea of me knocking on his door and nicely asking, hey, can you shut down your MX track? It's just ridiculous. I'm not saying it would be ridiculous for me to do that, because clearly he allows it, it's something he wants. That's the part that I don't understand, is I would never build that concert stage on my property, because I wouldn't do it to my neighbors, that's the part I'm missing, so I don't know how approaching him to ask him to do something that he clearly wants to do on my part, for me to ask him that, it seems,
Yeah, we did chat. I talked to him. I know him. But that doesn't mean I'm in favor or against. It means that I've taken my own opinion and chosen what I've chosen now, is inaction at this point. Because that's what's in the best interest of the town. That's what I'm here for, is to work on the best interest of the town.
And I just look at it from a businessman's perspective. I'm not gonna spend money on something and not get any return at all. So I think it's gonna be self-regulating at some point in time. Maybe, if those people are driving up from Virginia and staying at the local motel and paying hotel rates and then driving for free on this track, how soon is it gonna be before one of the partners in the track says, why are we the only people in this deal that aren't making anything? And that's when it'll change. They'll see themselves as the next Bear. I'm not saying it's gonna change for the better, but it'll change and it'll start being driven by something other than neighbors complaining and selectmen not being able to do something. It'll start being controlled by statute.
What is the town's attorney's name that you said?
What's her name?
The Mitchell Group
The Mitchell Group?
in
out of
Laconia.
Okay, thanks.
I lived right on Weirs Boulevard and bikes go by all the time. I loved it. That was part of the gig.
Yeah.
So we moved to this side of the town where it's nice and quiet.
Yeah, we can all hear Bike Week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bike Week.
But
everybody-
even then, they're not
Boat
riding
races.
around. They're riding around the lake. They come and go,
Right.
right? And it's a temporary thing. I didn't buy a house by the track down in Loudon. I looked for someplace quiet, and I'm just honestly very surprised to see an ordinance that clearly spells out noise and,
Define noise.
well,
Decibel
define obnoxious.
There's no decibel level.
Define, we define a lot of these.
What's
Everything-
noxious to you might not be noxious to someone else.
Everything in there is subjective. There's nothing
I understand,
definitive.
believe me, I completely understand. And there are baseline standards, we have one attorney's interpretation of something that's not defined, and that's just,
Right, well, it's historical precedent, it's court rulings, and all kind of things that go into an attorney's opinion, that other than they're just flat out reading a sentence. So it's, how does a sentence, how has sentences like this been treated in the past? So what are the likelihoods that you're gonna prevail?
At this stage in the game, you can't enforce that.
And we're not gonna, unless we, I think you've got a summer's worth of noise in front of you, and I think if you can prevail with the planning board, you might have some avenue for restricting it. Short of, if your position is no MX is the ultimate goal, I think that's all you get. If you go a little less than no MX, you may get smaller hours of operation that might be more livable. You may find an attorney that says you can close them down, but that's up to you guys.
And even if you're successful with getting the planning board to write up a change to the zoning ordinance, it gets voted by the townspeople, and if the townspeople vote it down, you've gone nowhere.
Right. Well, you haven't, it's not that you got nowhere, it's maybe that it's poorly written and maybe try to write it again. The problem with zoning generally for like noise is that it's just too friggin' broad. All of a sudden, the construction company that's trying to build a house on the lake can't start until 9 o'clock, has to finish by 3 o'clock. You start constraining activities too much because the language of the ordinance is too broad. So you won't be able to write it yourself.
well, I wouldn't try to write it, but I think there's other dynamics to it besides sound level or sound pressure and time of day. But I think duration is also a part of it, and okay, well.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for
Anytime.
coming in. Sorry we can't resolve all problems every day, but
Well, in regards to like a regulation on that, then it may spill, people may vote it down because it may spill over into, well, I like to shoot in the backyard.
Exactly.
That decibel level is high too.
Yeah.
So, there are people, I can hear them during the day,
yeah.
and ammunition's super expensive, but they'll shoot
But even
for half an hour.
there's an easy way to
they're done.
because when a gunshot, it's and it's over. A motorcycle, it goes up and it stays at that level. It's a maintained sound level. There are ways to
Right,
qualify
and it's not
those
all
things.
about sound. Sound level from a motorcycle is just a motorcycle gliding around somewhere. Gunshots carry all kinds of other baggage with them aside from noise. So the action of the shooting, the result of shooting, all of those things come into it in some people's minds.
It's interesting. I hear the gunshots. They don't bother me.
Yeah, but I have people in my family who hear the gunshots and are troubled by them. It's just, but it's the same noise level, so you can't limit it to noise, and you can't certainly get involved in this pesky Second Amendment. So,
All right.
okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Sorry we couldn't help more.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet
How you
you.
doing the tournament?
Same here.
In Plymouth?
Not so good.
Not so good. We came up and watched a while,
Yeah,
because we curled down
yeah.
Abenaki and,
So a neighborhood visit, the rear is.
No,
No, it was
beautiful.
They do a great job.
Yeah, I like that.
Got the
All
arena
right,
ones
all right,
coming up.
we'll see you at cribbage.
Tomorrow night.
Jake, nice to meet you,
Thank you.
and have a great day.
All right, so do we have any other business?
You gotta finish the correspondence book.
Really? What else could possibly be more important? Okay, we got a letter from CASA, they're thanking us for money. Nice.
The access to the property is.
And we got a report from the Tufton Road Free Library, who needs to come back in once a quarter even.
They don't, because they're, the trustee of the trust fund is
There's
in charge of them,
10109,
Kathy tells me. They don't come in, she said they've never come in.
That's bullshit, they've always come in.
Okay,
We give them money, they come in.
okay.
Ask Dennis, he's come in.
Yeah.
Not since Kathy and I have been here, apparently.
That's not true, but.
That's what Kathy
Okay, we got
said.
a wetlands permit notification for a dock down on Hidden Away Shores. Great.
Hideaway Shores?
Hideaway, sorry. Yeah. And another lakefront impact for wetlands. Mirror Lake. That's it.
No action required.
Nothing. And I think that's it.
Is there a non-public?
I wanted
No.
one with
You
the
did?
chief, but no, it doesn't, we don't need to. I think we get an individual meeting with him. So, any public input?
No, not today.
Selectmen's update?
No carefully crafted critique?
No, planning board meeting was canceled last Thursday for lack of subject matter.
Lack of, so, oh, they don't have anything to
We
do?
didn't have- Well, there's always stuff to do, but nothing that couldn't wait till the next meeting,
So they're gonna be happy with my
so they canceled it.
proposal that these guys visit, but I don't care if they're happy. All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for